talk about a Hillsdale College giving away free copies of the Constitution and Declaration. They've set an immediate goal of giving copies to 1 million Americans who don't have one. And if you do, then maybe hand one off to a young person who needs to look at it. The response has been tremendous. However, this free offer for you, my listeners, it's going to end very soon. So if you haven't already ordered your free copy right now, go to levinforhillsdale.com, Levin for Hillsdale.com. Every American should have a copy of the Constitution and the Declaration. Better yet, every American should read it. In these days when most schools neglect to teach our kids about our nation's great heritage of liberty, it's more critical than ever to make these documents readily available to them. So to claim your free copy, go to levinforhillsdale.com right now, complete a simple form, and receive a booklet through the mail. You don't even have to pay for shipping. But as I mentioned, this offer expires very soon. Order your copy now while supplies last at levinforhillsdale.com, Levin for Hillsdale.com, levinforhillsdale.com. Okay, we've got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left, Pennsylvania. And of course, there's voting in other states too. Many other states. But I'm focused right now on Pennsylvania. And I might add, in Nebraska. You have one congressional district there. Hopefully it won't come down to that. Omaha, Nebraska. They have a weird system in Nebraska where they split the electoral college votes by congressional district. I believe they have 3 of them. So the Democrats typically win this Omaha. And what they're saying is if it's really close and comes down to the end, that one district, that one electoral vote, could throw it to Kamala Harris at 270 to 268. You imagine that? And so Pennsylvania, I'm asking you to put an end to this. I'm asking you to put an end to open borders, to the Venezuelan brutal gangs, to the sex slavery, to the fentanyl. We need our fellow Pennsylvanians, our fellow citizens, great patriots. You are carrying us on your shoulders right now. They say you're the key to everything. You're the key to everything. You have a fantastic Senate candidate in McCormick. You have crucial House races going on in the state. You have a tremendous opportunity, let me put it that way, a tremendous opportunity as a single voter, standing in line, waiting to vote, or in your car and truck, racing to your precinct where you have literally 8 minutes left to get there. You have a historic opportunity to save this country and to tell your kids and grandkids that you did. If it comes down to a handful of votes in Pennsylvania and these other states, it's thanks to you. It's thanks to you that we came out of this the way we needed to, that we can get our country back, our rule of law back. It's thanks to you that we'll be able to secure the border, rebuild our military, lift up our officers and police officers and first responders. It's thanks to you. And so we're counting on you, Pennsylvania. Each and every one of you can make a difference. You will make a difference. The other side's going to turn out. It just means more of us have to turn out. I've been to every corner of the Keystone State during my life. I went one summer to Penn State. I went to college at Temple and law school at Temple University. Been to Pittsburgh many times. Been to Erie. I love the state. Been to Reading. Been to Johnstown. All over the state. Patriots. Great patriots. And in 7 minutes, your polls will close. And we're counting on you. The nation is watching. Again, while you're in line, tens of millions of us are in line with you, cheering you on. You may not see us, but we're there. While you're pulling up in your pickup or your automobile to get to that precinct just in the nick of time to get in the line, we're with you. We're cheering you on. We are. We need your help. Pennsylvania is the Keystone State. And Pennsylvania needs to shock the country and shock the world and shock the media and shock the Democrats. Shock them. Lastly, I would say to my Jewish friends in the state of Pennsylvania, you have a tremendous amount on the line. The growing anti-Semitism, your ancestral home in Israel, the Holy Land. Harris intends to attack it and undermine it. She already has. Harris is running commercials in other parts of the country that say exactly the opposite of what she's saying to the Jewish community in Pennsylvania. If not for your country, for yourselves, for your own survival, for your own protection, you need to make the right decision here. I say this to my Catholic friends. Her position on abortion is not Roe v. Wade. Her position on abortion is no exceptions for conscience, no parental notification, no limits, right in the birth canal. And she opposed the SAVE Act, which is a botched abortion and a baby is born. She opposed it at the federal level, and Tim Walz destroyed the law that required doctors and hospitals to save that born baby. I can't believe that most of the women in the suburbs agree with that. There's abortion and then there's infanticide. We're counting on the people, our brothers and sisters in Pennsylvania. You're up now. It's your time. There's 5 minutes left. Stay in line. Don't be dispirited. No matter how much it takes, no matter how long it takes, please stay there. People have done a lot worse and in much worse conditions. We need your help in Pennsylvania and all across the states that close at 8 p.m. New Hampshire, New Jersey. You got a lot of congressional races going on. Missouri, Mississippi, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Tennessee is a big one. But Pennsylvania is the enchilada, if not the big enchilada. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you're going to do. Be proud of the fact that you are the finger in the dike and that you are not going to allow this country to be flooded by the left. That you're going to do everything you can. You're going to stay in line and get in line, and you're going to vote. And we will watch those numbers come in throughout the day, throughout the evening, maybe another day. And we'll say, my God, they did it. My God, those Pennsylvanians, they did it again. I'll be right back.
Here is important information you should keep in mind while enjoying the many platforms of the Talk of Delmarva. If you contact the Talk of Delmarva by telephone, text, email, other electronic means, U.S. mail, or in person, you give us your implied and express permission to record, air, and or post your communication at our discretion. The Talk of Delmarva shall have the right to publicize and broadcast your name, likeness, or voice without compensation to you. Due to contractual obligations, the Talk of Delmarva does not provide transcripts or recordings to the public. If you have questions or comments regarding this policy, please email programdirector@wgmd.com or write to Program Director, Post Office Box 530, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, 19971.
Have you looked at your website lately and thought, man, I need to fix this? Or maybe you want to be noticed at the top of the search engines and social media. You may not even know how to get started. The Talk of Delmarva is here to help you with all of them. And in today's business world, they all matter.
The Talk of Delmarva is the one to count on. For over 40 years, the people of Delmarva have counted on us for news, information, community, and weather. We are also the ones to count on to take your business to the next level. Your total marketing partner and the ones with the ideas. You think it for your business? We can make it happen. We are your one marketing source. Effective ad campaigns, brand formation, digital, website, social media, OTT, and CTV. If you've heard about it, we know how to do it for you. Get in touch with us, thetalkofdelmarva.com.
The Peninsula's heritage hometown station for over 40 years. 92.7 WGMD, Rehoboth Beach, Ocean City, the Talk of Delmarva.
Good evening, and welcome to the digital interactive election night coverage on the Talk of Delmarva at realnewstalk.com. I'm Jake Smith, host of your News Talk America. The polls in Delaware have closed. In the Old Line State, polls are now closed as well. Now, the tabulation process begins. Our team is ready to bring you the results and the inside stories of how these races and their campaigns finished up. It is not how you start, it is how you finish. Tonight, we find out how they finished. Mary Lou is in the newsroom, monitoring tabulations and news from the Delaware Department of Elections. MJ Powell is reporting from Ruth Briggs King campaign headquarters in Georgetown. Political strategist and Delaware electoral historian John Brady Esquire will join us this evening. Mike Bradley is reporting from Ocean City. There is much at stake in the Old Line State, and Mike is gathering as much information as possible, and we'll have it for you throughout our broadcast. Much of the attention this evening will be on down ballot results. Will Trump or Harris coattails carry down ballot candidates across the finish line? Did your candidate do it on their own? Tonight, we have the answers. It is promising to be a historic evening, election night. We will also be monitoring Dial. Producers, log on now at realnewstalk.com. Whatever you hear, whatever you see, whatever you feel, we want to share it with the entire community this evening. If there is time, we will go to the telephones. However, tonight, we count your votes. Tonight, we determine the future of our country, your state, and your communities. Welcome to Digital Interactive Election Night coverage on the Talk of Delmarva.
MJ Powell is at Ruth Briggs King headquarters. Ruth Briggs King is running for lieutenant governor in the first state. Let's head to MJ in Georgetown for an update. MJ.
MJ, thanks so much. And we're coming to you from 66th Street at Coastal Highway in Ocean City at the Holiday Inn. The watch party here tonight being hosted by Lower Eastern Shore and Maryland Delegate Wayne Hartman, who joins us. Wayne, thanks so much for having us out tonight. We appreciate it very much.
Mike, thanks for being here tonight. It's going to be a great night. There's an awesome crowd here. And I tell you what, there's a lot of enthusiasm. And looking at the numbers so far, I think we're in for a pretty good night.
So as we take a look, just setting the scene for Maryland, we've got the U.S. Senate race between former Governor Hogan and Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. We have the U.S. House race between incumbent Andy Harris and his challenger from Harford County. We also have, of course, locally, school board elections in districts 2, 3, and 5 in Worcester County. We also have, and something you know because you served at the Ocean City Council and mayoral races. There's a big question in Wycomico County concerning Julie Giordano and whether Wycomico County residents want to keep a county executive. And then there's question 1 that enshrines abortion in the Maryland State Constitution.
Well, it's a big night, man. You said a lot there in just a matter of a few seconds. Yeah, locally, the mayor and city council race is the first time the mayor's been contested in an election with a serious candidate. We'll probably have answers to that within the hour, so that'll probably be the first news of the night. And there's a good group of people running for council, so it's really great to see people putting themselves out there. You know, Wycomico County, huge issue as to whether or not they're going to continue with a county executive. So Julie certainly has a lot on the line tonight, and you know, with the U.S. Senate race, I know the polls haven't been that good. But, you know, it's important to get Hogan elected into that seat. It's, you know, I talk to Republicans and they're like, oh, they can't do it. They can't give them the satisfaction of the vote. But you know what? We need to get Hogan in that seat. If we want Trump to have, you know, a Senate that he can work with and get his agenda done, then he's one of those seats we need, and we need to fire Chuck Schumer. And our opportunity to do that is tonight.
Yeah.
You know, school board elections, man, how important those are. those local elections, those school board elections, they really impact people. They're the ones closest to the homes and have so much impact. So a lot riding on those elections tonight. It's a big night. It's a big night for everybody. And when I look at this crowd here and I think about, Trump supporters, I think we were called deplorables.
We were.
In the last election.
We were.
And then this time we were called trash or garbage.
Yep.
I tell you what, for deplorables, trash, and garbage, I see a lot of successful people here tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, we look pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah, really. This is an awesome looking crowd.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, Wayne. I can't emphasize enough. Look, we understand the presidential election's huge, but these state and local elections are very big as well. From school board, and look, with the mayoral race, one of the big issues, of course, is wind turbines and fighting back against that, and the lawsuit, and the work that's currently being done with that. And that's a big issue as to who do you want to continue that fight, the incumbent or Councilman Buish, incumbent Meehan or the Councilman in Buish. That's a big race, and obviously several council races. Look, I've been to a million Ocean City Council meetings, and Wayne, you guys make a lot of, obviously you're now in the State House, but you make a lot of important decisions that affect people's every day. So I hope people gave every race its just due.
Absolutely. The closer, the more local that election is, the more impact, the direct impact it has. And it's a tough job. You're putting yourself out there. Some of the things you have to vote on, and it's a lot. So to see people getting involved and seeing well-contested elections, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I'll just say this before you send it back to Jake, and watching a little bit of the five and getting ready for tonight, they were talking about how 70% of people say that the economy is a big issue and that it's not going in their favor, and it hasn't been over the last 4 years. If former President Trump wins tonight, will it be any surprise? What did we hear in the 90s? It's the economy's stupid. It's still the economy's stupid all these years later in 2024.
Yeah, I have to say there are so many indications that the economy's tightening up, and we really need, look at what happened during Trump presidency before. So there's a lot riding on it. It really is. And it'll be an exciting night.
Yeah. We'll be checking in throughout the night here at the Holiday Inn, the watch party at 66th Street at Coastal Highway. Mike Bradley, the party being put on by Lower Eastern Shore and Maryland Delegate Wayne Hartman. We really appreciate him having us out. And Jake, we'll send it back to you, sir.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. And some news here. Fox News has just called New Jersey, which is part of our listening area, the talk of Delmarva, for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has apparently picked up all the electoral votes from New Jersey. Now, let's go to Attorney John Brady. John Brady is not only a political strategist, he's also a political historian, so to speak, an electoral historian. Let's get a perspective of what Delaware is looking at tonight in contrast to previous elections. Good evening, John Brady.
Good evening, Jake. Delaware used to be a bellwether state. How Delaware went, so did the nation. But that stopped in 2000. In 2000, Delaware went for Gore, but Sussex County went for Bush. But for the 40 years before that, Delaware always picked the winning presidential candidate. So in 88, they picked Bush. In 96, it was Clinton. Then 2000 was the first time it changed. Since then, Delaware has gone, because of Newcastle County, the way Democratic, even though the Democrats have not won every one of those elections. But Sussex County still went for Trump in 16 and went for Trump as 20. So it's going to be interesting to see if that continues tonight as well. Turnout is a big thing. In the past, Newcastle County led the state in turnout. Tonight it looks like they're going to be third in turnout. So by percentage.
John, what would you attribute that to? What would you attribute that to? Being dissatisfied with Joe Biden leaving the ticket and Kamala Harris being selected to replace him? What would you estimate is the cause of the low voter turnout up in Newcastle County, John?
there is no enthusiasm for the statewide Democratic ticket.
And is that because Biden is no longer on that ticket, John?
I would say yes. Having suffered that wrath in 2008 when he was on the national ticket and on the Delaware ticket twice, and losing statewide when I ran as a Republican that year for insurance commissioner, when the voters see his name on the ticket, they felt emboldened to get out and vote. This year, the top of the ticket didn't embolden anyone in Newcastle County as much as it has been in the past. Sure, you have the traditional voters. It was great weather today, but the turnout is showing lower, and even with the mail-in and early voting, less percentage-wise are voting in Newcastle County, which could have an effect statewide on the races.
John, when you say statewide, you're talking primarily that Republicans may pick up seats such as the governor's office in Delaware, that if the turnout in Newcastle County would have been what it normally is, the Republicans never would have had a chance for that seat. So can Republicans gain control of the governor's office in Delaware, for an example?
It is a strong possibility. Mike Ramone has worked very hard. He's been all over the airways across the state. He was well regarded as a state representative in Newcastle County, and he drew out the distinctions between himself and Matt Meyer. Remember, Matt Meyer ran a very ugly primary campaign, and there are people that were still favoring the Lieutenant Governor, Bethany Hall Long, who are not happy with Matt Meyer. Now, they could have still gone out and vote and just not voted for governor.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be. That's going to be. Yeah, I mean that's going to be interesting in itself. You're talking about Democrats who are unhappy with the way in which another Democrat was treated in a primary race.
Absolutely, and I think you see. Although I'm not going to say this is a perfect match to '94, where all 7 statewide Republicans won 2 years after then Governor Carper took office, and the people were very upset at him. I do see that there could be pickups in the state, in the legislature for the Republican Party statewide.
And that would be good news for the Republican Party, John, from the vantage point as the Democrats are so close right now to that super majority, that dreaded super majority where they could change the Delaware state constitution on a whim, right?
Absolutely. You need 2 consecutive sessions, but if they get to a super majority, it's sort of like they control the budget, they control the Constitution, they control everything. That's why these local races are so important for the legislature, and that's why, and in my personal opinion, WGMD has done a great job in letting the candidates come on and explain what they were trying to do.
John, wait right there. I want to go back to MJ Powell at Ruth Briggs King's headquarters in Georgetown. We had some problems with your audio, MJ, so maybe you can give us an update. And what's the feeling, what's the mood like there this evening?
I'll tell you, the mood is really jubilant, to tell you the truth. Everyone's excited. They're feeling good about this. Ruth Briggs King is a very attractive candidate. She is incredibly experienced, and she's known for having an ability to actually work across the aisle. I think among the many things that make her special, she's got a varied background in education. She's got a background in real estate, so she's a businesswoman. She grew up on a farm. She is salt of the earth, Delmarva, Sussex County. She's always been very loyal, always been very available in the county, and people are excited because they see a real opportunity here for her to win the position of lieutenant governor, which would really give them a new inroad. I think so often people here in Sussex County feel marginalized, in a sense, with the larger state, with the Democrat majority. And Ruth Briggs King has an amazing ability to work with all kinds of people, but she's really someone who is a visible presence here. So you can see her just going around meeting people. We don't have a lot of people here at this point. It's still early, but she just has such a magnetism, and you can feel the loyalty. People are really pumped.
Well, let me ask you something, MJ. Now, this opportunity with the low voter turnout up in Newcastle County could give the Republicans, including Ruth Briggs King running for lieutenant governor, could put her in a position where she would not have ordinarily been in. The low voter turnout is going to put more power in the hands of Kent County and Sussex County voters. Has the candidate mentioned anything to you about that tonight?
Yes, I think she feels very good about it, and I think it's quite obvious. I think maybe a little surprised in a sense, but Sussex County, earlier in the day, their count just really trounces. I mean, the percentage of the voter turnout is just so prominent, and I think, again, it's a sign that you have a very strong Republican base here, that you have people who have felt underrepresented, and they see a winner, and I think that's really the feeling all around. So I think there is just a great chance.
It's the best chance, MJ, that the Republicans have had in years.
Yes.
And wouldn't it be surprising that Democrats staying home, because Joe Biden was forced out last summer, he was forced off the ticket, and then what do you know? Discontent in Joe Biden's home county of Newcastle County could give the Republicans their best chance to win major seats here in Delaware in many years. All right, we're going to just take a step back. I wanted to thank all of those producers who have signed on to Dial and are on there right now. We'll get to some of your comments. 3M just said, I agree, Ruth Briggs King is the best candidate the Republicans have in Delaware. Certainly, she's made a big part of her campaign, education. We plunk a lot of money down 3M for education. She's a former teacher herself, Ruth Briggs King. So it'll be interesting to see at the end of the night what happens with respect to when all the votes are counted, because if minority voters, if black voters, if Democrat voters in Newcastle County are disgusted with the Democrats because of how Joe Biden was treated, and that gives the Republicans the advantage that they've been looking for years, they may regret the day that they forced Joe Biden off the ticket here in 2024. Let's take a step back. You're watching Election Night Coverage Digital Interactive on the Talk of Delmarva. More with our team out in the field and here at the broadcast center as well in just a moment. Stay with us.
Hot water? It's time to make a change to a high-efficiency tankless water heater from Shager & Gas. Hi, I'm Mark Fry of Shager & Gas. By installing a Navien or Rinnai tankless water heater, it will provide your home with endless hot water, all while keeping your utility bills low. With various models to choose from, Shager & Gas can help select the model that fits your home's needs. Looking to have your existing tankless water heater service? We do that too. Call Shager & Gas today at 302-644-7700.
Fall in love with flavors at Captain's Pizzeria and Restaurant. Hi, it's Karen. It's cozy season and time to immerse in the warmth of our homemade Italian, Greek, and American dishes, offering different specials every day, such as pick up a large one or more topping pizza and receive a small cheese pizza for free, Monday through Wednesday. Indulge in a glass of wine while you wait. That's Captain's Pizzeria and Restaurant in Long Neck, 302-945-2222. Kali Orixi.
Navigate life's financial waves with Herman Financial Services. We guide individuals, small business owners, and corporations with our expert financial solutions that truly make a difference. From investment advice to tax planning, we're the compass that keeps you on course. Call us today at 302-424-1748.
Securities offered through Triad Advisors LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Triad Hybrid Solutions LLC, a registered investment advisor. Herman Financial and Triad Advisors LLC are not affiliated.
Hey, Milford. Milford, Meineke Car Care's newest shop has moved into town, where quality meets family-friendly service. From oil changes, brake repairs, tires, and more, our experts are driven to take care of your car just like family. Milford Meineke, doing car care right.
Welcome back to our digital interactive election night coverage on the Talk of Delmarva. I'm Jake Smith, along with our team members. MJ Powell is in Georgetown this evening. MJ is at the Ruth Briggs King headquarters in Georgetown. Ruth Briggs King is running for Lieutenant Governor, Republican, here in Delaware. Also joining us is John Brady. John Brady is a political strategist, political historian. And also Mike Bradley is with us as well. Mary Lou will be joining us in just a few minutes to give us some background as to how the tabulations are done in Delaware. If you're new to Delaware, you've just moved here. The polls are closed both in Delaware and Maryland. And let's bring back John Brady. John, you heard what I said to MJ just a couple of moments ago. The Democrats have been in control of the State House and the governor's office here in Delaware for a very long time. You could tell me when the last time. I guess Pete DuPont was the last Republican governor in Delaware. But wouldn't it be interesting if blowback against the Democrat Party for what they did to force Joe Biden off the ticket is just the thing that the Republicans need to get some meaningful positions here in either in the State House in Dover and in the governor's office, and perhaps the lieutenant governor's office as well. John, what are your thoughts?
Well, let me give you a couple things first. You're right. Pete DuPont was governor, a Republican, from 76 to 84, but Mike Castle was governor from 84 to 93.
Okay.
And during that time period when Mike Castle was governor, he had a Democratic lieutenant governor for 4 years and a Republican lieutenant governor for 4 years. We have not had a split ticket between lieutenant governor and governor since 92.
Interesting.
Why is that important? Because even though in 94 it was a Republican landslide for all the other offices and Congress and U.S. Senate, it was not enough because the governor, lieutenant governor were already on board, and we had a Republican insurance commissioner back then. So it used to be split a lot because the Delaware way used to pick the best person as opposed to going right down. 1966 was the last year the big lever was on the ballot boxes in Delaware.
Wow. Where
you could go in, pull it down, and go get your $5.50 pint for voting that way in Wilmington. We went to electronic voting machines in 98, and since then you have to go through each race individually. So we've had some of those things, and the last time we had split government in the legislature was 2008. In 2008, the House went Democratic. The Senate had been Democrat. Before then, from 84 until 84 until 2008, the House was Republican and the Senate was Democratic.
Well, again, John, wouldn't it be interesting that we might be seeing history tonight, and that is that the Republicans who have been trying to make a difference, trying to win any possible race here in Delaware. It just seems that the Republicans, as much as they try, they just can't make any inroads anymore. There are a number of reasons for that, some of which have been obvious. However, wouldn't it be interesting if the Democrats themselves, Democrat voters, stayed home because they did not like what was done to Joe Biden earlier this summer? We're going to be talking to Ruth Briggs King in just a little bit. I wanted to shift back to Mike Bradley in Ocean City. Mike, are you there?
I am, Jake, yes.
Mike, any word on Congressman Andy Harris and the Senate race with Larry Hogan?
No, I've got the state election results website up right now, and they've got NR for these taking place. And the Senate race is getting a lot more in the way of attention, as you can imagine, because that's an open seat.
Right.
Harris has a strong chance for re-election there.
Now, with regard to Larry Hogan, it was thought, and yesterday, Republican strategist Jennifer Kearns told me on my program that she thought that Larry Hogan, because of his more independent nature and the fact that he's not really a conservative Republican, would bode well for him in the race tonight, that those who voted for him for governor would vote for him for the United States Senate. Does that appear to be the case tonight?
Well, from what you're hearing, no. And here's two reasons why. The Alsobrooks campaign has been running one in which they've been saying, this race is going to determine the balance of power in the Senate. And then with that being the case, then the Republicans are going to try to federally ban abortion. And so they've been selling that to people, and some, I think, have been buying that. The other thing, too, though, I think with Governor Hogan is the fact that he's been running a lot on the abortion issue and not on the meat and potato issues that garnered him the success that he had in running as
well, that's how he won the governor's race, Mike.
Well, that's
those kitchen table issues. That's what he did.
Correct, and he has not, I think, emphasized those near enough. I think the campaign focused way too much on abortion in this, and at the end of the day, those that are staunchly pro-choice were not going to cross over to him anyway.
Right.
So I think that if he had focused more on the issues that had made him successful as governor, I think that would have helped. And I think when they look back, if he should lose, that's something that they're going to lament. They're going to lament doing.
Well,
but go ahead, John.
I was going to say, as it stands right now, Mike, the Republicans are going to take control of the Senate. That's what it appears. Jim Banks in Indiana, he won his race. Jim Justice in West Virginia has won his race. He is going to replace Joe Manchin, and Moreno in Ohio is pretty far ahead right now. It looks to me that the Republicans are going to take control of the United States Senate. That's what it looks like right now.
Yeah, it's just that Maryland seat was not going to be the difference. It may add to it, but it wasn't going to be the difference between the majority or not, and that's what the Alsobrooks campaign was selling. And for uninformed voters, buying that was a feather in Alsobrooks' cap there. So.
Well, that's a very interesting perspective. Mike, just quickly, before we go back to MJ Powell,
sure.
She's going to be interviewing Ruth Briggs King, candidate for lieutenant governor. You have Brian Pettyjohn and Valerie Jones-Giltner on every Wednesday. They'll be on tomorrow.
Right.
And it's frequently discussed that Republicans just can't seem to break that blue barrier in Delaware. What about voters up in Newcastle County boycotting, staying home in protest for the way Joe Biden was treated and forced off the ballot earlier this year? Your thoughts, Mike?
Well, there's no doubt, and you guys have done a good job covering that already. There's no doubt that that's a huge help to the GOP there. And I think as it pertains to the gubernatorial race, the fact that Mike Ramone is from Newcastle County, served in a blue district, I think that does him very well with name recognition. Right. So that coupled with the fact that they know him well as well. So that coupled with a low turnout, that certainly bodes well. Now, you still need a very strong turnout from Republicans across the state and from independents. But if he's to win, that is something I think, as you rightly have pointed out with John Brady, that you'll look back on and say, wow, that was a big factor. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mike, thank you. Stay there. We'll be with you. I want, in a little while, I want to head back to Georgetown to the headquarters of Ruth Briggs King, Republican candidate for lieutenant governor. MJ Powell is with Ruth Briggs King now. And Ruth, I'm not sure if you heard the discussions that I had with Mike Bradley and also with John Brady, but it appears up in Newcastle County, the voter turnout up there, which is usually very strong and reliable for the Democrats, wasn't there this year. The only possible explanation is that the Democrat voters up there are not happy with the way Joe Biden was treated and forced off the ticket, and they stayed home today. Your thoughts?
Could you hear that, Ruth? Oh.
All right. I believe there's an issue with the audio. So let's Let's go back to John Brady. John, you've been a political historian for a very long time in Delaware. You grew up in Newcastle County. We had a question about that from one of our producers. Did you grow up in Newcastle County? You did. You grew up in Wilmington. John, how has Newcastle County, as far as their voter patterns, has it been the same since you've been up there? Have they changed in the last 30 years? What have you seen, John?
Starting in 1966, Newcastle County, that was when there was the first county executive, was Republican until 1998.
Okay.
And the county was a Republican-leading county. The city of Wilmington was always Democratic.
Right.
But after it was occupied by the National Guard in 68,
right,
they elected a Republican mayor. Another reason we can put on the books tonight is John Carney is unopposed for mayor of Wilmington. There are no contested races for city council.
Unbelievable.
Therefore, there is no real incentive for city of Wilmington voters to come out and vote.
So, as much as there might be pushback about how Joe Biden was treated, there's kind of a Democrat malaise within the inner city in Wilmington, John. Is that what you're describing to us?
I am, because if it's unopposed, why do you go out? They know they're going to have the 3 Democrats elected county or citywide at large, and the Republicans will get 1 person at large. So virtually there are no contested races in the city of Wilmington. The only race would be for county council, president, and county executive. And that may not be enough of an incentive beside governor, lieutenant governor, and the other races we've discussed to get people in the city out, and that would cut down on the number of voters in Newcastle County and may be an additional reason to Biden leaving the ballot as reasons why Newcastle County isn't showing up at the voting place.
Well, John, let me let me present this question a different way. Can Democrats win their races here in Delaware without voter support in Newcastle County?
Very good question. It makes them a lot closer.
Certainly does. And voter turnout in Sussex and Kent is at record levels this year, John. That doesn't bode well for the Democrats.
It doesn't for the statewide people. And as was mentioned before, you go by the bodies. Getting the people out to vote early, as the Republican Party did here in Sussex, and getting the other votes out in Kent and having a good turnout today will lead that to having an opportunity for the supermajority to fail in the state of Delaware.
Very interesting. John,
for the legislature.
John Brady is providing us with his perspective on what appears to be right now an opportunity for Republicans to make inroads in not only in the State House in Dover, but perhaps in the governor's office, in the lieutenant governor's office as well. Do we have, MJ, do we have Ruth Briggs King ready to go? We do. All right, so let's welcome in Ruth Briggs King, Republican candidate for lieutenant governor. Ruth, thanks for coming on tonight. I'm not sure if you heard the discussion going back and forth between John Brady and I, but it appears that based on low voter turnout in Wilmington, there's kind of a malaise, and not sure whether it is Joe Biden's being forced off the ticket. I'm sure that has something to do with it. Voters within Wilmington, the city of Wilmington themselves, as John Brady pointed out, they don't have a lot of choice. The same old, same old. So do you think that the Democrats may have messed up big time here with their forcing Joe Biden off the ticket, and will that give you and other Republicans an opportunity that you may not have had with a normal voter turnout from Newcastle County? What say you?
Thank you. I heard John's comments, and I started my morning off in Newcastle County because we spent a lot of time there knowing that we would probably do very strongly in Sussex County and in Kent, which is more purple. But we saw three things, I think, that were unique. We first of all saw a bloody Democrat primary season, and they pulled apart. They did not come back together. Usually they will coalesce after that, the Democrats more so than the Republicans will do. The other thing that happened in the city is where you had John Carney, your sitting governor, who probably wanted to run for the Senate and was told to sit down, it's not your turn, it's going to be Lisa Blunt Rochester. And so he primaried Velda Potter, very popular minority person in the city itself, which set up another dynamic of some unhappy voters coming into the general election. And then the third thing, I think you could see that our message is resonating. The people in Newcastle County, particularly in the city of Wilmington, the minorities, know that they've been left behind for a long time. They've been given false promises. So when I was at the polls today, I saw some very determined people coming to vote. And we'll see how that goes. I know over the past few weeks I felt a groundswell of support coming out of the city of Wilmington itself and in Newcastle County. So I think that it could be the messaging and the messenger combined with the dynamics. You mentioned Biden out on the ticket. We heard today, we didn't see a lot of Democrat workers in the city. We heard they've been pulled to Philadelphia to help in the presidential race there. They had bailed out of Wilmington thinking either there's no need or they lacked the interest. As you said, they either felt secure in the elections or they weren't happy with the primary choices. And we'll take that for whatever reasons. We just did not see them there as they usually are in force. And so Wilmington is a very different, unique part of Newcastle County. I was in polling places where they were lined up in Hockessin to vote well into the morning, felt very engaged in those lines. We saw throughout the state, and we did travel the state today. I didn't make it to the end of the state by the deadline, but by 11 o'clock to 4 p.m., there was really just strangling in to vote, where we felt the majority of voters had indeed voted early voting throughout the state. And so it was a chance for us to focus on getting those persuadables, those voters out that haven't voted in a while. So we're anxious to see. We feel that we've done very well representing issues that are important to the people. I was with a group of men in Star Hill that's located near Dover the other day. They told me they're voting with their pockets. And I think that we see a lot of people through Delaware voting differently than they have in the past. That's the feeling. I'm just anxious to see if it shows in the numbers. It's a numbers game.
Ruth, you have spent a lot of time campaigning, talking about education in this state. Did you find that there were voters that really wanted to talk about education?
Absolutely. Even today in line at the North Star Elementary School near Hockessin, and just talking with people, and I said, so are you off today? And the one woman said, yes, I'm a teacher. And I said, you've heard me talk about education. She said, that's why I'm here to vote for you. You're the only one that's talking about education with specific ideas and really targeting the issue. And I said, well, that comes from being the only one that's been in the classroom, for one thing. But I think that they like the direct speak. Talking about the real issues, having that authentic discussion. So I've heard it a lot. I stopped in Colonial District, which is a Republican-run.
Very strong Republican
Very
district.
strong.
Yes.
And they said to me, we tried to redo your message on education, but it was one of the strongest messages that really resonated about hitting absenteeism. Why are they absent? Hitting disruptive student behavior. And focusing on those issues which are driving educational achievement and classroom results. And so they said, well done. And we've heard that as we've traversed the state and had a lot of teacher support, not necessarily DSEA, but the people that pay their dues to DSEA have been very supportive.
Ruth, thank you, and we wish you the best of luck tonight.
Thank you.
It'd be interesting to see. I know that the early voting totals for Republicans, especially in Sussex County, had to give Republicans a shot in the arm because we've never seen anything like this. The The voter turnout is usually in the 50s. Let's see what it looks like when we take a look at the final numbers from the DOE.
And Jake, let's see those people that crossed over. I had a lot of folks telling me they were crossing over. Then they said, "You're just for me. You're just the best candidate that's there." And I had a lot of them texting me after early voting and even today that I voted for you. And it's very encouraging. And I hopefully that we'll see that in the election results. If not, we know we've done the best that we've done. We felt we played a really hard game in a short amount of time, and certainly, stations like you have helped get the message out to the voters.
Ruth, thank you. Ruth Briggs King, Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor in Delaware. We're going to take a break. This is our election night coverage, digital and interactive. More of our coverage coming your way in just a moment. Please stay with us.
At Herman Financial, we're not just about the numbers, it's the relationship. We're going to be a part of your financial team to work with your tax and legal experts to bring together your family's financial plan. Reach out to us about retirement, wealth management, or your local trusted partners. Visit us in Milford or call 424-1748.
Securities offered through Triad Advisors, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Triad Hybrid Solutions, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Herman Financial and Triad Advisors, LLC are not affiliated.
Hey Delmarva, this is Penuel Barrett, General Sales Manager at First State Chevy in Georgetown. Do you want a dealer that puts you, the customer, first, treats you like family, and will take care of you after the sale? If so, what are you waiting for? Stop into First State Chevy today, where we can handle all your automotive needs at one location, just 1 mile north of the DMV. Give us a call at 302-856-2521 or find us on the web at firststatechevy.com. We are First State Chevy in Georgetown, where we put you, the customer, first.
It's officially pumpkin spice season, which can only mean one thing. It's time to call Baker Petroleum. We offer the lowest prices on propane and heating oil in all of southern Delaware. So feel the warmth of savings and enjoy that fancy coffee.
Don't delay. Call their friendly staff today. Making the switch has never been easier. Serving all of southern Delaware. Feel the warmth of savings with Baker Petroleum at 302-645-7000. We live in a very special community. With the help of Community Bank Delaware, Thursdays at 9:20, we bring those unique qualities to you. Community Bank Delaware, headquartered right here in our very special community. Community Bank Delaware, it's where community matters.
Hello, this is Evangelist Rick Breitenbaugh, inviting you to listen to the Gospel Defender Ministries, Sunday morning at 8:30 on 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD.
Hey Milford, Meineke Car Care's newest shop has moved into town, where quality meets family-friendly service. From oil changes, brake repairs, tires, and more, our experts are driven to take care of your car just like family. Milford Meineke, doing car care right.
Join expert Scott Wilkins from 8 to 8:30 this coming Saturday on WGMD's 92.7's Ask the Expert, and find out about power washing your house and cleaning the black stains from your roof. That's Ask the Expert this coming Saturday at 8 on WGMD's 92.7.
Thank you for joining our digital interactive election coverage tonight. I'm Jake Smith, along with my team members, MJ Powell and Mike Bradley. Mike, are you listening?
Yes, I am here, and we're going to have a guest coming up here, but in the meantime, what do you have for me?
Well, Mike,
I've got plenty here, too.
You know, it was interesting to hear what John Brady has to say. John, I'm going to pot you up here. The malaise that appears to have infected formerly reliable Democrat voters in Newcastle County. Mike, this could be the break that Republicans have been looking for a long, long time.
Well, it certainly is, and just a quick comment, because we do have a guest here.
Yeah.
I was just taking a look at the absentee and early voting that's coming in the first state, and I'll say that for the early voting, I think Republicans have done a really, really good job. Now, there's still a mountain to climb in some of these races, but I think they've really done a good job in that aspect of it, maybe as good as you could expect, and the hope is that they got to have voted in big numbers today, but we'll find out about that. But, Jake, I need to switch gears. I do have a guest joining me. Gentlemen, state your name and who you're with.
This is John Robinson, and I'm from the Wycomico County, actually. I'm over here visiting Wayne here in Worcester County, Ocean City.
Very good. Now, John, Question A is a big one in the county. That is the one that determines whether the county executive stays or goes. What's your sense of the county and what people are thinking on a very big issue? At one time, Wycomico County did have a councilmatic form of government.
Right, we did many years ago, 18 years ago or so, and we went away from it because it just didn't seem smart at the time. We needed to be a little more progressive and go with a different form of government and have a little more checks and balances, and it looks like the older boy network there in the area is kind of pushing back on that, and they want to get rid of the female that's in charge of the county, and it's to me it seems more like a personal attack than that, but our county council hasn't gotten along with any of the executives, even the one they actually handpicked. So that tells me by itself that checks and balances are working. I'm totally in favor of keeping a county executive, especially in our county. You can go to one person and ask a question instead of having to bounce the questions off of 6 or so.
Yeah, my sense of it is that question A that is going to be defeated, that they're going to keep the county executive in Wycomico County. That's my sense. John Robinson's joining us, a Robinson family of business, gold, silver, bullion, and jewelry, and longtime family business in Wycomico County. John, with that as well, just in general, your thoughts on a night like tonight. It's been a long 4 years for some of us, and the time is here tonight from the national level. Obviously, though, we also have state races going on, the U.S. Senate. The first congressional, I think, is pretty safe with Congressman Harris, but your thoughts on some of those races?
Well, yeah, I'd love to see Hogan sneak in there tonight. I mean, I would love to see that. He's such a middle-of-the-road guy. I know he's not super conservative, and a lot of Republicans don't like that, but, he's more Maryland than anything, so I'd love to see him sneak in there. He's a great guy, and I think he would be awesome, but it doesn't look good. I'm looking at these early numbers coming in. It doesn't look good, and it concerns me a little bit, but, Maryland's so liberal, it just doesn't change, and it's not going to change for some time. It's good to see some of the people that are more centrist coming into the offices, and that's what I'm hoping for, is kind of on the local levels too.
Well, you do have to run more of a middle-of-the-road statewide candidate to see if you're Republican, but I'll say this, though, on the Trump tax cuts, on the border, on supporting Israel, backing the blue, Governor Hogan supports all those. Those are big tenets of the Trump campaign that he supports. So while he may not like his personality, there are a lot of key issues, though, that he aligns with on it. I think that's where people lose that, is that on the key issues, though, he does back the Trump the Trump plank, if you will.
He absolutely does, and he's never wandered from his views. He tells people the way it is, and he says, this is the way I am, and you take it or leave it, and I appreciate that about any politician, and that's what Trump does. People get on the national level and they say, well, Trump is this super conservative. Trump has not wavered from his views much. I mean, he's very much right there, unlike his opponent, and she's all over the place. I mean, I think she took on more of his views during the election than he even could believe himself.
John, 70% of this country believes that the economy is in the wrong direction. You're a business owner. You felt that. Talk to us about your personal experience as a business owner over the last 4 years.
Well, it's tough because I'm in a different business. I'm in kind of a recession-type proof business, and we flourish actually under slower economies and under really good ones, not the in-between.
The business has been great for you.
It has been, and I will tell you.
But that's a sign, though.
I'll tell you flat out, I would make much more money if Harris would win. We would sell more gold and silver and bullion across our counter. We'd actually make more money, but I don't want that for the economy or even for myself. I think we really need to, like I said, we need to make our economy grow more. I feel like it's so stagnant, and I see people that, and people talk to me about this all the time, but I see people with a lot less means than me that are actually selling us stuff because they need the money to make their businesses fit. And a lot of restaurant owners especially are being hit during this the post-COVID era that we're in. It's been difficult for a lot of businesses. It really has.
But your cost, though, like the energy bill to heat and to cool your building, though, that does affect you. Yeah. The revenue might be good, but the expenses are going up quite a bit.
Electric bill from $2,500 2 or 3 years ago up to over $4,000 now in a business, and people don't realize how much businesses pay more in the electric rates. It's insane. It's hard to be in business. Anybody that's in business, I mean, God bless them. I mean, it's a hard thing, especially a local small business. We've been in Salisbury since '62. It's not like we don't know what we're doing at this point, but it's very, very tough.
Yeah. Wycomico County, before we turn things back over to Jake, Wycomico County is one which has grown over the years, but it's very staunch, though, President Trump.
Oh yeah, Wycomico is a very conservative county.
It is. It's very red.
You do have a very liberal base in the city of Salisbury. We had that with our ex-mayor Jake Day, who's now Secretary of I don't know what for Maryland, but I can't remember, housing for Maryland.
Yeah,
and,
housing development.
and he's doing a great job there, and he's representing this area well, and he's representing himself well. And I like it. I love our community. I love Salisbury. I know we're in Ocean City now, but I love my community, and I'm there to do anything I can for them ever. And I follow politics close, and sometimes people say you shouldn't mix business and politics, and I do, because at the end of the day, we all need to just sit down and just it's over, and shake hands. And whether you agree or disagree on something, when it's over, stop and just shake that hand and be nice to the person across the aisle from you.
Well, John, if you don't get involved, it's going to affect you. So that's the bottom line. John Robinson's been our guest of Robinson Family of Business, Gold, Silver, Bullion Jewelry in Salisbury, and one of the sponsors of tonight's watch party here at Ocean City at the Holiday Inn, 66th Street and Coastal Highway. Jake, thanks so much. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mike. And I'm going to bring in John Brady again for the final time. We've got some time constraints, John. John has some other things that he has to do. John, can you kind of summarize where we are right now? We're waiting for some of the first returns from the DOE to start making their way into the newsroom here. What are you expecting? What can you what direction can you point us to keep an eye on this evening?
In the past, the Republican Party was very competitive on Election Day in machine votes and was blown out on early voting.
Right.
Here, they're very close. The early voting numbers have just popped up, and they're within 10 to 15,000, 21,000 statewide for Ruth Briggs King off. If they can make those up with machine votes in Kent and Sussex, and it continues to have a low turnout in Newcastle, then there could be some very good optimism for the Republican Party tonight in Delaware.
John, did you get any indication of what the voter turnout in Delaware on Election Day today was? We know how incredibly strong early voting was, but what about those who waited to vote on Election Day today?
The only number I have is 32%, which counts early voting.
Okay. So we really don't know. Now, normally the turnout in Delaware has been probably low 50s. I think that's probably the average turnout in Delaware. We're definitely going to beat that this year, I would say, right?
I think we're going to break 60%.
Wow.
And go higher than that. So, yes.
And that's good news, John. That is good news in itself.
And when I clear my obligation, I'll text Walt.
All right, very good. Thank you very much, John Brady. And let me just, if I can, Mike Bradley. Mike, you got your ears on in Ocean City tonight?
Indeed I do, sir. Standing by.
Any indication of what voter turnout was like in the old Lion State, Mike?
It's a good question. I've not been able to get a good sense of that statewide. It's not something that I've looked at. I've been more focused on the shore. I can tell you, though, that the early voting, though, again, has been embraced by the GOP more. So those numbers are up as compared to 2 years ago. And remember, too, though, Jake, in Maryland as compared to Delaware, mail-in voting is the law of the land. So essentially absentee voting or just regular mail-in voting, that it's all kind of combined into one now. So you can mail-in vote, you can early vote, or you can vote on the day of, where in Delaware you can early vote, you can vote on the day of, but you can't mail-in vote. And, that's also being utilized to a certain extent as well. But in terms of the turnout, I'll do a little bit more digging on that statewide for you.
Mike, just to reiterate what you were talking about with your last guest with respect to the Larry Hogan Senate candidacy.
Yep.
You pointed out that Larry really didn't run the same type of campaign he did when he was running for governor. And at the time he was running for governor, and he was head of that organization, Change Maryland.
Right.
He was all about kitchen table issues.
Mm-hmm.
Why was he so worried about and so concerned? Who was he listening to? What campaign consultant was telling him that you should spend your time talking about abortion and social issues?
Well, look, that was an issue that he knew that they were going to attack him on it, that they were going to try to run on to have the clearest difference and try to really gain, obviously, with female voters there. And he did address it very early on. And in fact, he changed his position on the issue as well. And I just, it's a great question. I guess they felt like that was such a big issue that she was running on that he felt like that he had to constantly reiterate that position. And to an extent, I understand that. But at the end of the day, what made him successful were the things that we talked about in terms of fiscal conservatism primarily, also efficient government, backing the blue. Those things all worked for him, not having a sanctuary state type status. And you started to see late in the race, he started to reiterate that, but it was too late, I think, at that point. There were so many ads that I saw for me as a viewer that just talked about abortion, abortion, abortion. So I guess they felt like Angela Alsobrooks was having a lot of success with that, but I just think they went too far, and they needed to push more of what was going to make him successful. And again, we talked about they really pushed hard, the Alsobrooks campaign, that this was going to be the deciding vote in the Senate between the GOP and Democrats, and abortion was on the line. And at the end of the day, though, we know that that's not true, and educated voters know that, but not everybody is, and they fall for some of those tactics, unfortunately.
Well, Mike, the Democrats loved what Hogan was saying because he was a frequent guest on CNN and MSNBC. They loved what he was saying. That's why he was a frequent guest there. I wonder how many real Republican voters who really Hogan needed in order to gain the governor's mansion several years ago, 10 years ago, I guess now. I wonder how many of those real Republican voters took issue with the fact that Larry became a darling of the left-wing media.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think the fact that he probably pushed the anti-Trump aspect of it too far, in my opinion, and also, look, you do have to be careful as a GOP candidate in Maryland, though. When you talk about crossing the aisle, that's not necessarily a bad thing in a heavy blue state, but you have to be careful, right, to your point, Jake, not to abandon the Republicans, though. And so going too far on the pushback on Trump, obviously we talked about the way he handled COVID, which a lot of Republicans took issue with. Fair enough, it wasn't as bad as a lot of the blue states like in New York or New Jersey, but it was still not. He still should have done things differently, and Republicans took issue with that. And that's the question as well: is that not only did he need to get moderate Democrats and independents, unaffiliated, but he needed to get a strong turnout from Republicans. And I think here on the shore, in some counties like Wycomico, Somerset, maybe even Caroline. That was no guarantee that even though you want to have a GOP Senate, that was no guarantee that those folks were going to get his vote.
Mike, what happened to the Larry Hogan that kept that campaign promise? The day after he took office, he rolled back the toll increases at the Bay Bridge. Remember that? It might have been a small thing, but it sent a message to the voters that he was going to keep his promises. That Larry Hogan was nowhere to be seen in this Senate race. He got into the monkey muck. He never got out.
Again, yeah, exactly. The issues that he was successful on, I don't think he pushed enough, and he pushed other areas that he was only going to win marginally and getting people to come over to his side. And again, as you take a look back at the election, I think if he's to lose, and we're hearing that he's down. Dirk Hare, the former GOP chairman of the Old Line State, said he saw polls down anywhere from 7 to 12 points. As you look back, I think that they will lament their campaign strategy there. And I don't get it. You're right. He needed to bring out more of the things that he was successful on. Now he did try to run a lot on being an independent thinker. That or an independent candidate in terms
Mike,
of
then he should have run as an independent. You're either a Republican or you're not. And I think the fact that he didn't really stand up as a Republican, he could not have been governor without the support from the Republican Party back in, was it 2014, I guess?
It's fair. And some people have told me that, again, he ran away too much from the right, and that didn't help. Now, even all the Republican votes in the state of Maryland is not going to win him this race. But, again, your point's all certainly valid there. And, again, when they look back, if it's a loss, these are certainly areas where you'll look at and say, hey, should have done things differently here.
And that that day he stood up there and said, "Get the damn vaccine." For all the people that have been
Well,
injured and died, that hurt him too.
he said wear the damn mask. He didn't say get the vaccine.
Oh, is that what he said?
But same thing. It was taken the same way.
Well, again, that didn't bode well for him either.
No. You're right. It certainly didn't. I don't disagree with you at all. I didn't like that myself.
Mike, thanks. We'll be checking in with you a little bit later on. That perspective. Mike Bradley in Ocean City, the Old Line State.
The station where Delmarva comes to talk. 92.7 WGMD, Rehoboth Beach, Georgetown, Berlin. The talk of Delmarva.
This is a Fox News alert. Election return starting to come in. I'm Lisa Lacera. It's 9 o'clock in New York. Another 15 states have just finished voting. The Fox News decision desk says it's too early to call Michigan one of two battlegrounds in the Rust Belt that just finished voting. The other, Wisconsin, where Vice President Harris and former President Trump appear to be locked into a tight race. It's too early to call. Arizona is also too early to call as polls close. Fox News can project that Trump will win Texas. That locks 40 more electoral votes into his column. Trump has a lead in Iowa, where there is no call at the top of the hour. In Nebraska, the Fox News decision desk can project that Trump will win the statewide vote. Nebraska gives 2 electoral votes to the winner of the state and 1 vote to the presidential winner in each of their districts. Trump will also win Nebraska's 1st and 3rd districts. The more suburban 2nd district in Omaha is too early to call, but Harris has a lead. The Fox News decision desk projects that Harris will win New York, given the Vice President 28 more votes. Harris has a lead in Minnesota, but it's too early to call. And Fox News can project a Harris victory in Colorado, giving her 10 more electoral college votes. The party underway at Trump headquarters in West Palm Beach. Fox's Edna Brown is there.
Earlier in the day, Trump voters gathered to watch the former president cast his ballot. The former president is beginning the evening at his home, Mar-a-Lago, before coming here.
Vice President Harris will await results at her alma mater, Howard University.
When you see photos of Vice President Harris on stage at the event, Founders Library will be behind her. That building may look familiar. It was based on the Independence Hall in Philadelphia.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Voters in Florida have rejected a ballot measure that would have legalized recreational marijuana for adults at least 21 years old. America is listening to Fox News.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Don't miss the epic return of Yellowstone, premiering Sunday at 8/7 Central, only on Paramount Network.
Legacy. If you build something worth having, someone's going to try and take it. What I'm doing isn't for the ranch. It's for us.
America's #1 show returns.
I spent my whole life here. Me too.
You destroy me, you destroy yourself.
Unlike you, I keep my promises.
The epic return of Yellowstone, Sunday at 8/7 Central on Paramount Network.
More information for the Fox News decision desk. New Mexico is too early to call, but Vice President Harris has a lead, according to our Fox News voter analysis. Former President Trump will win Louisiana, which has voted for a Republican in every election this century. Trump will also win Kansas, adding another 6 votes to his tally. The former president will win North Dakota, a longtime conservative state. He'll also win South Dakota, which often mirrors the vote of its neighbor to the north. Fox News can also project that Trump will win Wyoming, worth 3 electoral votes. In the Senate, the Fox News decision desk says it's too early to call Wisconsin, where incumbent Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin appears to be in a close race with Republican banker Eric Hovde. Michigan's Senate race also too early to call. Former GOP Congressman Mike Rogers up against current Democratic House Rep Alyssa Slotkin. A Somali terror group operative convicted of plotting a terror attack in the U.S.
A Kenyan man is convicted of plotting a 9/11 style attack in the U.S. on behalf of a Somali terrorist organization. 34-year-old Cholo Abdi Abdullah, found guilty in New York on all 6 counts he faced for conspiring to hijack an aircraft and slam it into a building. Also of conspiring to murder Americans in support of the terror organization commonly known as Al-Shabaab. The indictment says he trained with weapons for months in Somalia, then spent months at a flight school in the Philippines and researched how to target tall U.S. buildings. Attorney General Merrick Garland says the conviction ensures that Abdullah will spend decades in prison for his crimes. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
A French court has found 18 people guilty in a major migrant smuggling trial as part of a 22 operation that led to dozens of arrests and the seizure of boats, life jackets, and cash. One of the defendants, a 26-year-old from Iraq, has been sentenced to 15 years in prison and must pay a fine. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
You're listening and watching our coverage of Election Night 2024, digital and interactive. Let's head back to MJ Powell, who was standing by at Republican Ruth Briggs King headquarters. It's been a long day, Colonel. I've been up since 3. Sorry about that. But MJ is going to introduce you to one of the finest people who is in office here in the state of Delaware, Colonel Jeff Holofsky. Go ahead, MJ.
District 4 representative going for another term. Jeff, what have you seen when you've been out and about meeting constituents in these last days of your campaign?
Well, it was busy, it was hectic, but at the same time, it was gratifying. We talked a lot about a lot of issues, and what I found was something that is, kind of knew about in the past, but also was verified going door to door, is the absolute support for financial literacy education inside our schools. That was a slam dunk 100%. There was absolutely no one that said, no, Jeff, that's not a good idea. Or when I just mentioned the word, they said, oh, absolutely. How, are you working on that? And so I think that that's really an important thing. And so I hope that at the end of the night, if I'm reelected, that we can get that done. Veterans issues also are very, very important. We have so many veterans in our state, and 70,000 plus another 30 or 40,000 dependents. And when you have that number and yet have no significant recognition, we're buried. The Veterans Office of Veteran Services is buried in the State Department for the state of Delaware,
right?
And it's way down the totem pole. And when you have that kind of non-recognition, then things don't happen for veterans. It's not like bad things happen. It's just that the good things don't happen. And so we need to change that dynamic with a cabinet level secretary. And I've been working on that, and I hope that will be that will come to fruition this year. We're going to put some muscle behind that with some past national commander of the American Legion is on board, and we've got several of the state leaders on board. Hopefully we'll get the Ds on board. The last bill was sponsored by Representative Carson, and it got held up in the Appropriations Committee. So if I have another second to talk about that. So the bill was going to cost $1 million. And so if you think about just doing the math, let's round down. Let's say we don't have military plus dependents over 100,000. Let's say it's right at 100,000. And if we have 1 million people, what the people who could not pass this out of appropriations told the veterans in Delaware that they're not worth $10.
Hard to believe.
That's hard to believe.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard
Absolutely.
to believe.
And Colonel, on top of that, we have a significant veterans housing issue emergency.
Oh my goodness.
We have so many veterans who are living in tents. They're living in the woods, and I know that you and Colonel Williams have been talking about the tiny houses project that she has been the Fuller Center of Delaware, which is a wonderful idea in which to help our veterans. Is there any chance that the state might take an active role in trying to bring more permanent housing for our veterans? Because right now, the veterans home in Milford is just temporary housing for them, right, Colonel?
Well, I think that this is an imperative. When you go back to the baseline and you say who in society has stepped up just who in society has stepped up to offer their life. Hopefully not. No one wants to die for their country. I certainly did not. But at the same time, that is a kind of an underlying current that you may be called to sacrifice and pay the ultimate price if needed. And yet for that, you have veterans living in the woods, homeless veterans. We have a terrible suicide problem as well. So all these things need to be worked on, and this is where a cabinet secretary would jump right in and say, okay, enough is enough, let's get some stuff moving. I'm on the Affordable Housing Task Force, and part of that, we are discussing some things about veterans, and I hope, actually, Colonel Williams is a part of that task force as well. And so I know that she's working on that. We have not, in the various committee meetings, crossed paths yet on that, but we are in communication about how she can, implement and help implement her program if possible. But in any event, the state needs to step up, whether it's her program or somebody else's program. We need to get some things done here for the veterans.
Jeff, a quick word too about healthcare and reimagining healthcare. You favor a proactive approach. Can you just explain a little about that, and how has that been resonating with your constituents?
Well, one of the things that the governor mentioned in his last budget request was that healthcare in Delaware is absolutely unsustainable. And then he said a few more paragraphs, and he came back before he moved on to the next topic. He said, healthcare in Delaware, the cost of healthcare is unsustainable. And so I went to the controller's office and I said, please, break this down for me. And in 2022, we spent $1.1 billion.
Unbelievable.
In one disease, Jake. One disease. That was diabetes alone. And since that is such a linchpin disease,
yes,
I thought, well, what are we going to do about this? In fact, she asked me that as I was leaving her office. Well, what are you going to do about this, Representative? I said, well, I'll try to figure something out. So I vetted a bunch of companies, and we are closing in on. We formed a very august group of folks in the private sector and BB Healthcare, and also some retired systems experts, and also some retired physicians who are in on this. Hopefully, Governor Ramon, Representative Ramon now.
Was that a Freudian slip? Colonel?
Well, that was a purposeful slip. Absolutely purposeful. And Representative Jones Giltner is also on that crew, and we're trying to hammer through the details with Human Resources Department of the State of Delaware, where we've identified a cohort of people that are really unhealthy, and we're going to try to have a pilot program, hopefully funded, so that we can get this going. If Mike wins governor, then I feel great confidence that this will be funded. We spent $4.7 trillion in the nation. And so this is going to bankrupt us, and it's going to bankrupt Delaware if we're not careful. And so doing nothing is not an option. And what we hope to do is to use the science behind this to change the paradigm for people's behavior and food choices, and also medicine choices. And I think that will hopefully drive a better Delaware and a better state, and maybe will be a model for other states to follow.
Absolutely, a model. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes, letting us know about that. Excellent.
All right, MJ and Colonel Jeff Holofsky, Representative, 4th District in Delaware. Colonel, best of luck to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
and
Jake.
you really are one of the most outstanding people that we've ever had serve, and it's an honor to know you, sir.
Wow,
really is.
Wow, thank you. I'm humbled by that. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that.
All right,
Thank you, MJ.
MJ, we'll be back to you in a little bit. Let's head back to Ocean City, the Old Line State. Mike Bradley is standing by. Mike.
Yes, indeed, into another hour here of election broadcast from the Holiday Inn, 66th Street and Coastal Highway here in Maryland State Senator Mary Beth Carosa is going to join us here in just a second. I wanted to give you, though, Ocean City results that have come in. And first on the mayoral race, incumbent Rick Meehan has won re-election. He got 1,324 votes. Peter Buis, the Ocean City councilman who decided to give up that seat to run for mayor, he got 1,132. So it was a spread of, about 200 votes, a little less than that Rick Meehan won. And he had been challenged in a while, but this obviously was a big race. We'll talk to Senator Carosa about about some of those issues in just a second. Now, for city council, there were a number of candidates running, some incumbents, some new challengers to the mix. The top vote getter was John Gehrig with 1,509. Second up, Tony DeLuca, 1,461. Those are both incumbent councilmen. Jake Matrisic, he's the son of Worcester County Commissioner Joe Matrisic, who represents District 7, which is Ocean City. He was the third highest vote getter at 1,377, and then Larry Yates was the fourth highest vote getter at 1,295. So those are your new councilmen. Mary Beth, first, good evening to you. Good to see you. You're decked out in your red, white, and blue, and it's a good night. It's a good night for this constitutional republic, as I say.
Absolutely. It's great to be here, and I've been on the road all day, everywhere from Ocean City to West Ocean City over to Salisbury, and then back at the convention center. I started my day both at the Ocean City Convention Center and also ended my day there as well.
There you go. A vast area of District 38. Let's just start first, though, with the local elections, because I always talk up grassroots, bottom-up elections. And to that end, with Ocean City, they just recently filed suit concerning these wind turbines. And one of the big issues in this mayoral race was about who do you want to continue to take the charge on that. Do you want the incumbent Rick Meehan, or do you want Peter Buis, who served as a 4-year term as a councilman, to take that over? I know Rick really pushed hard about the relationships he's made in Annapolis, along, of course, with going up there with a state delegation such as yourself. But that is a huge issue for this town within the next couple of years.
Well, I have to tell you, back in 2017, I was actually with Mayor Rick Meehan, and I were at the forum where the Public Service Commission had that first unveiling, and that's when we realized right then how close those turbines were to the beach. It was an eye-opener right there, and I'll never forget Mayor Meehan walking right up to that, and we went up there, and he's pointing to it, and he automatically said, this is a problem for Ocean City. And what you have to realize, going back to 2017, in the beginning, it very much was an issue about the view and how it would affect the economy and tourism in Ocean City. But as we worked on it over the years and really went into the actual impact of the proposed wind energy turbines, it was then a whole host of reasons that grew of why we would oppose it as a community. So, you know, and it's a conversation that I had on several occasions with Mayor Rick Meehan.
Mary Beth, let's do this. Jake, I need to send it back to Jake, then we'll come back here. Jake, you'll send it back to us too, but Jake, go ahead. We'll send it back to you, sir.
Mike, thank you. Fox News is now calling the state of Delaware for Kamala Harris. Governor, Mr. Meyer has, according to Fox, has won the office of governor. Mike Ramone, I believe, was 56 to 40%, Fox projections. So Mike Ramone is going to come up significantly short as the Republican in the governor's race. So there you are. Those are the two of note that just happened. So again, if you just missed that, we've just learned from a Fox News projection that Donald Trump has not won Delaware. Kamala Harris has won the state of Delaware, and also Meyer has won the governor's office, and that kind of pops the balloon for a lot of Republicans tonight who thought that they might have an opportunity to take the governor's office. So again, Democrats continue to dominate politics here in Delaware, the first state. All right, let's go back to Mike Bradley. Mike, we heard that there was quite a bit of cheering going on. What's happening?
Well, that was, I guess, the state of Ohio got called for Trump there, so that was the cheering. And we just went through the mayoral and council races here at Ocean City, and we were talking with Senator Mary Beth Carrozza about the wind turbines and how that's such a huge issue for this town. A lawsuit's been filed, but that was a big issue again in the mayoral race here as to who wanted to continue to fight against that. So again, this is the biggest issue, I think, Mary Beth, maybe in the history of Ocean City for that matter.
Well, and when I heard about the lawsuit, and Mayor Meehan was very candid about that and said, it's going to be an option, hopefully of last resort. But we, as we work through this issue, every turn, whether it was before the Public Service Commission in Maryland or the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management at the federal level, every time we were trying to make our case and show this is either hurting commercial fishing, marine mammal life, that the economics didn't make sense, that it was going to be subsidized at taxpayer expense. I mean, for multiple reasons, we kept making our case, and it's that the administration at both the federal and at the state level have been just fixated on just really jamming this through. And if you think about it, if it was any other major initiative, they would say, oh, we need to take our time and study it. And in this case, they're jamming it through. And I have to tell you, working very closely with Mayor Meehan, he has been thoughtful about it. He's come to Annapolis. We've tried to work through these issues. And so when that decision was made with the lawsuit, and to get the other support, and that's what's really important. It's not just the town of Ocean City suing; it's all the other plaintiffs. The Hotel Motel Restaurant Association, the Chamber of Commerce, the county, that true partnership there, and now towns in Delaware as well. Right. And so I really believe that as this goes on, we keep chipping away at this, they're going to run out of steam.
A win tonight for former President Trump would go a long way in helping as well.
Absolutely.
I think something important just from a general standpoint, too, though. We talk about this mayoral race and the city council race. Also, there were some school board elections. And one of the things I think that I try to educate our listeners on is jurisdiction. And some of the things, for instance, with the school boards that are state mandated. So some legitimate concerns from residents, but not necessarily things that the school board can control. They have to go through you in order to fight back against it in Annapolis.
That's absolutely right. And, when you talk about these local Board of Education races, what's important to remember and what I have always emphasized is, and I will always fight for, is local authority, local flexibility, and that is something that we are constantly fighting against because there's a tendency in Annapolis to centralize everything, to have the mandates. They end up being unfunded mandates, and they ended up being passed down at the local level. Mm-hmm. So I have worked with our current Board of Education members who are in office now, who are often coming to me saying, and I'm going to them as well, how can we take, under the current structure, have more local flexibility, have more local authority, have more parental involvement, and we're going to have to keep that pressure on. The good news is I think we finally have the Annapolis admitting that Kerwin Blueprint is not paid for, and therefore you have to stretch out the timeline.
And that's another big issue. Great point. Before I let you go, we're now getting some numbers here from the state of Maryland. The U.S. Senate race, a big one, of course, former Governor Larry Hogan, the GOP candidate taking on the Democrat Angela Alsobrooks, the PG County executive. Right now, out of 1,958 Election Day precincts, 345 are reporting. Right now, Alsobrooks leads Hogan 55-42. Hogan on Election Day leads the voting there. She had the mail-in voting. She also had the early voting quite substantially. So it's a little less than a 200,000 margin right now. Just your thoughts on that Senate race.
I'll tell you, Mike, this has been a tough one for Larry Hogan this go-around because there are voters who actually voted for him twice, the first time he ran for governor and then for his re-election. And then when you ask them for this U.S. Senate race, they say they're going to break away. And I challenge them when they say that. I said, you have someone who's already been a proven leader for the state of Maryland, and then they give that national line about, well, it's all coming down to Maryland and the majority in the Senate. And number one, it really is not for Maryland. Right. And number two, I look them right in the eye and I say, you really should vote the person. If you have somebody that has served Maryland well, which Larry Hogan has for 8 years as governor, he's going to serve Maryland well in the U.S. Senate. So I try to push back on that, but was a little surprised at some of the resistance.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think in terms of the work on the shore, I think there was some more work to be done here that I didn't quite see happening. But that is what it is at this point. Mary Beth, thank you so much for your time and analysis here tonight.
And Mike, I want to thank you because the way you've been covering the Maryland and Delaware races, no one else could do it but you.
I appreciate it. It's a task, but that's what we're tasked to do, and we appreciate it. Jake, I'll send it back to you. I am disappointed to hear about the gubernatorial race in Delaware, though. I really thought Ramon gave the Republicans a really good shot. It was still an uphill battle, but him being in Newcastle and the fractured Democrat primary really lent itself to a strong chance at winning. And the fact he didn't hear tonight, the GOP is going to have a long road to hoe in getting that seat back anytime soon.
Yeah, it's true, Mike. And I heard what Mary Beth said about Larry Hogan, but I just went back into my show archives, and Larry said, and I quote, "Get the damn vaccine." And I just played the quote here in my studio, the audio here in my studio. That's what he said, and I'm sure there are people out there that didn't forget that. Why would Maryland residents be so against Larry Hogan if they had voted for him 2 previous times? They knew what kind of a commodity he was. He must have turned them off. And I believe that get the damn vaccine quote didn't help him.
No, I didn't. I don't disagree with that. No.
All right, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. You're listening to our election coverage. It's digital interactive on the talk of Delmarva. Let's see if we can go back to MJ Powell. MJ, are you standing by? MJ does not appear to be standing by. All right. With that, let's take a break, and let's see if we get Mary Lou in to talk about the procedures, how the tabulated votes are tabulated, the Department of Elections in Delaware, and so forth. Mary Lou's been doing this a long time. We'll see if we can get her on to talk about that process in just a moment. You're listening and watching Your News. I almost said the wrong show because I've been at it since 3 o'clock this morning. However, it's our election night coverage on the talk of Delmarva, digital interactive, and we're so glad that the chat room is active as well. Get to some of your comments. Please stay with us.
With All-American Mortgage. Transform your home's value into tax-free cash without the burden of monthly mortgage payments. A reverse mortgage not only allows you to retain ownership of your home, but also cover existing mortgage payments and other financial expenses. Plus, you can still leave your home to your heirs. If you're 62 or older and live in Delaware or Maryland, call me, Jim Fritz, with All-American Mortgage at 302-245-2327 for a financial plan focused on all of your goals.
Every time you watch the Ravens game at the original Green Turtle in North Ocean City, you get a chance to win up to 3 pairs of game tickets. The original Green Turtle presents Ravens football on WGMD's 92.7, a Delmarva Ravens affiliate.
Hey veterans, it's that time for your free basic oil change and 50% off full synthetic changes. Hi, it's John from Lewis and Milford Meineke. Come on down and see us on November 11th. Lewis and Milford Meineke, proud to serve those who served.
It's our election night coverage, the talk of Delmarva 2024, and so much going on. I'm looking at the chat room with respect to Hogan. Let's take a look at a chat just posted by producer Vanessa, who said Hogan said both things. He said wear the damn mask, and first, and then a year later he said the same quote, but changed it to mask to vaccine. Well, whatever way you slice it, Vanessa, and thank you for clarifying that. So that means Mike and I were both right. But the fact is, Larry Hogan forgot that he was a Republican. And I'm sure some Republicans didn't forget that this time around. So, and his never-Trumper attitude, where he never really committed to supporting President Trump at all, I wonder how much that hurt him. Not being a Maryland resident, I don't know. That's unfortunately. Bob and Lewis says, Jake, you look great, well-rested, and very articulate. Bob, I am running on fumes. Believe me, I am running on fumes. Did Trump give you advice on how to work 24/7? I hope I have the energy that President Trump has when I'm his age. Right now, I don't have that energy at all. But right now, we are looking at the electoral count vote. Fox is reporting right now that they have given President Trump 195 out of 270 electoral votes. My friends, whatever way you slice it, it's going to come down to Pennsylvania. And this Pennsylvania race is, well, Who knows whether it's going to be announced tonight? We know the way things are in Pennsylvania. Are they a bit underhanded? Yes. Our good friend Jeffrey Lord, who's been a guest with us a number of times, has told us about all of the election fraud over the years in Pennsylvania. We are likely to see some problems in Pennsylvania. We've already seen them in two of the counties, Bucks County in one of them today. But it all boils down to Pennsylvania. Let's go back to MJ Powell. MJ, are you standing by at Ruth Briggs King's campaign headquarters in Georgetown? Are you there? No, MJ. All right. With that, I am going to bring back Mike Bradley. Mike is in Ocean City. Mike, who do you have for us? All right. Well, Mike's not there, so I guess it's just me. So then I'm going to go with it. Now, one of the things that Fox is reporting that Texas Senator Ted Cruz has won re-election. Texas Senator Ted Cruz has won re-election. Big Cat's just posted. Thank you, Big Cat. Trump wins North Carolina. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. He needs Pennsylvania, and as far as I can see, he needs to win at least either Wisconsin or Michigan. And if that is the case, then Donald Trump is the 47th president of the United States, Big Cat. That's how I see it. I'm wondering how you feel tonight in contrast to the way you felt in 2020. I mean, most of us went to bed. I know I did because I had to get up had to get up early for work the next day, and got up the next day, and the world had changed. Our world was upside down. But right now, let's see the count in, as far as Fox is reporting, 195 electoral votes to Harris's 117. Now, the big surprise for me, I thought President Trump had a good shot at winning New Jersey. Not happening. New Jersey went to Harris. New York went to Harris. And you know what? All of the changes with respect to New Jerseyans and New Yorkers standing up to the Democrat machines in both of their states. Kathy Hochul calling Trump supporters, if you vote for Republicans, you're un-American. You know, there's just too many people who like to be controlled by government living in those socialist states. My friends, those are socialist states. And they want to continue living in that environment. It's not going to change. So again, Trump is not going to have the landslide that Ronald Reagan had in 1980. Bob from Lewis says in the chat room, Ted Cruz asked me for donations at least several hundred times via text and emails. He's as bad as Win Red. Okay, well, you know what? All of us have been inundated with text messages and emails and phone calls asking for money. Big Cat responded, and correctly so. Mitch McConnell really stuck it to Ted Cruz in a very important race. Ted Cruz's Senate seat was up for grabs. But fortunately, Cruz, a strict conservative, has been declared the winner tonight. So that's good. I mean, we have to understand. So the good news tonight is not necessarily that Trump had a Reagan-like landslide. The good news tonight it appears that the United States Senate tomorrow morning when you wake up will be in the hands of the Republicans as of January. That is, well, let's put it that way. That is assuming that, and you know what they say about assuming, that the House of Representatives will remain in Republican hands, because you could have Donald Trump in the White House, and if you don't control both houses of Congress, you're not going to get the things done, such as no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security, getting rid of the Department of Education and other useless government agencies. That goes without saying. Now, Big Cat says Mitch McConnell needs to go. Mitch McConnell's on his way out. I call him long pause. Remember the long pause issues that he's had? Mitch McConnell's on his way out. He's giving up his leadership position. Is it Senate Minority Leader, or is it going to be Senate Majority Leader? And wouldn't it be nice to see Chucky Schumer being shown the door with respect to Senate leadership? Now, Colonel Williams has just signed in. Hi, I'm sitting in the line to drop off my voting stuff, listening to great coverage. Colonel, thank you very much. We were just talking about you moments ago when Colonel Jeff Holoski was on with us. We were talking about housing for veterans, which is a very important topic for you. Now, we are going to we're going to stay with it probably until 11 o'clock tonight, and I am hoping that we can get Mary Lou on from the newsroom in just a couple of moments and get Mary Lou to explain why Colonel Williams is online at the Department of, well, actually, I guess she's at Motor Vehicle. That's where the voting data is dropped off by those who work in the polls. Big Cat says we need a good Senate majority leader, not a rhino. Okay. Unfortunately, Senate majority leaders need to be horse traders. Mitch McConnell was, unfortunately, he was a horse trader and did some good things. He obviously kept Merrick Garland off the Supreme Court, Big Cat, and for that we owe him a debt of gratitude. But also Mitch McConnell, his wife is very, Elaine Chao, very heavily connected business-wise to the Chinese Communist Party. And that in itself is a concern for Mitch McConnell. McConnell is too old, but that's on Kentucky residents. They kept re-electing him and re-electing him and re-electing him. Fortunately, Kentucky went heavily for Trump tonight, and I'm certainly glad at that. We're going to see if MJ Powell is ready. MJ, what's happening at Ruth Briggs King's headquarters? I'm looking at one camera there. What's happening?
Well, we're looking at the numbers. It's a little different this year because there are various Republican gatherings scattered throughout Sussex County. So this is really dedicated to Ruth Briggs King, and the energy is still very strong. Some of the races we're looking at, actually, Nikki Miller is close. This is a tight one. She was thought to be, a very strong candidate, and she's down by about 3 at this point, but still, within touching distance. Kim Hui Stevenson is also lagging behind Russ Huxtable by about 9 points there. Rich Collins is doing superbly, really. He's pretty much doubled his contender. So we're looking, it's a little disappointing at this point as we look at the numbers that we have so far for Mike Ramone. But, it's not over until it's over. So you've still got a lot of energy here. And Eric Hansen, that was a tough uphill battle with Lisa Blunt Rochester. So he is definitely trailing there. We're just standing by. Everyone's anxious. We know we have a good team, and we're just hoping for the best here. But it's looking good for Ruth Briggs King at this point, and there's a lot of real energy. So I think, it's one step at a time, I guess, Jake.
Yeah, and again, I guess it's disappointing. The Republicans thought that with the turnout well above what it had been in recent years, MJ, that they would start to see, they start to make inroads in Dover. Yes. And that just right now, that just is not proving to be the case, sadly.
It's a numbers game. When you look at the population concentrations, it's so frustrating. And while we're building in population in Sussex, many people are coming in from the big cities, and they tend to be more Democrat. So it's just a difficult situation all around. But we have such dedicated people, and we had such a strong team this year that I think it gives you hope. I just really think you have to keep building one step at a time. If we can get Ruth Briggs King in, it would be wonderful.
Well, it's going to be, again, a very interesting evening. We know that Democrat voter numbers, Democrat participation in the usually reliable Newcastle County is way down over what it normally is. And still, the Republicans could not make inroads. It's got to be disheartening, MJ, but let me head down to Mike Bradley, see what's happening in Ocean City, Maryland. Mike, what's happening there?
All right, thanks so much. And we're here with Delegate Hartman, who's putting on this watch party tonight at the Holiday Inn at 66th Street. And we went through the mayoral and the council races. In fact, Wayne, you gave the results to the crowd here a little bit ago. We reiterated them and then talked to Senator Carosa about those as well. But you have a guest with you right now.
Yeah, we have one of our sponsors tonight, Scott Heiss, Pizza 2 Go's and Liquor Depot. And I'm going to give one of my little secrets. Liquor Depot, after Thanksgiving, they have a lot of the allocated bourbons, the hard-to-find bourbons, and that's the place to go. They put them out in baskets, and great place to look for some really hard-to-find stuff at fair prices. But, Scott, thanks for being here tonight.
Wayne, thanks for having us here tonight. It's our pleasure. Scott, a night like tonight, tell me your feeling, the general feeling throughout town on election night.
Mike, it's electric, isn't it? It's electric. You can feel it in the room. It's fun to see like-minded people in the same place, and I think everybody's voted the same way here. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you talked about, I thought you said the Harris folks haven't showed up yet, Wayne. You meant the Harrison folks. I was like, I thought you were making a joke about that. But now, Scott, you're a business owner, and of course, there's a million Pizza 2 Go magnets, I think, all over refrigerators up and down Ocean City. But for that matter, obviously, the cost of doing business for you over the last 4 years has gone up. It's people like you on the ground that really can speak the most to key issues in this election.
Challenging. Like the past couple of years have been challenging, and we'll hope that we'll see some change and positive change tonight.
In terms of turnout, we had a mayoral and council race. A lot of businesses all up and down Coastal Highway letting their voice be heard. Not all businesses necessarily want to do that, but at the same time, the council, the mayor, they make decisions that affect those very businesses.
Absolutely they do, and we're supportive. But sometimes, depending on the business you're in, you have to be kind of a little step back. And this is where you show your support in places like this.
Yeah, it certainly depends on the context of the situation. Tonight, I always say cautiously optimistic as I take a look at it. But again, I mentioned earlier, when you hear 70% of the country feels like the economy is not in good shape, that I think can be very telling on how tonight turns out, frankly.
I think if tonight turns out the way we all hope in this room that it turns out, that there's going to be euphoria, at least for the next couple of weeks, right? Next couple of months. And I think it's positive. And I think it gets us going in the right direction.
Yeah. On top of that as well, I think that you've had 4 years to be able to take in that policy. I talked about 4 years ago was personality over policy. Okay, well, now you've seen what that personality has gotten us. Now you have a chance to get back to policy that, frankly, from my perspective, was good for the entire country, not just those of us on one side of the aisle.
You know, Mike, it's almost like, let's get back to work, folks. You know, we've had a party for the past 4 years. We've been on vacation. We've been on cruise control.
Well, Joe's been at Rehoboth Beach a lot. That's
he
for
has
sure.
been, right?
Yeah.
Come on, get back to work.
Yeah.
No offense, not as with that in Florida too, but come on, let's get back to work. Let's get the country moving the way it needs to.
Yeah.
Let's get back up to steam.
Scott, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being out.
Mike,
thanks for supporting tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Jake, folks have been streaming in here tonight, and certainly, again, I would say certainly upbeat. I personally have said cautiously optimistic, but we have seen what the last 4 years has given us, and the economy and crime, the border. That hits home every day, and I just don't see how that is not going to be an overriding enough factor. And for enough folks, they're going to look past some of the things that they've seen and the attempts to derail the former president, and I just think that they're going to see through that enough to bring home a victory.
It's going to be very interesting, Mike, but it sounds like there's a lot of energy where you are right now.
Yeah, we got good music and a lot of good folks here. Hey, real quickly, Jake, I just wanted to run through. We've got some results here from some of the precincts. Worcester County Board of Ed, District 2 right now. Donald Smack is a commanding lead over Kalima Barkley. Now, Ms. Barkley had said that she had dropped out of the race, but then indicated to other people, well, may the best person win. If they vote for me, then so be it. So I wasn't sure what was going on here, but it looks like the incumbent is going to win handily. At District 3 and District 5 races, none of the precincts have reported, but early voting and mail-in have. In District 3, the incumbent, Dr. Andes, has a slight lead of about 51% to 49% over the challenger, Cheryl Middleton. And in District 5, Elena Combs, the incumbent, has a slight lead of about 96 votes or so, 95 votes over the challenger, Dorothy Shelton Leslie. Again, those 3 and 5 districts, that's just early voting and mail-in. We still need to get the election day results there, but some tight races in the school board districts there.
Mike, keep us abreast of what's happening down in Ocean City. Again, my friends, if we thought there was going to be some type of red wave tonight like we did in 2022, it has not. I repeat, has not materialized. It just hasn't. But we're going to keep reporting. We've got a lot of data that's going to be coming into us within the next hour. Please stay tuned. You're watching our election returns here on the Talk of Delmarva. We're digital interactive. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Join expert Scott Wilkins from 8 to 8:30 this coming Saturday on WGMD's 92.7's Ask the Expert and find out about power washing your house and cleaning the black stains from your roof. That's Ask the Expert this coming Saturday at 8 on WGMD's 92.7.
Treat your vehicle to the best in town with top-notch oil change at our family-owned service center. At In-N-Out Tire Pros, we pride ourselves in offering exceptional car care solutions to valued customers. Need new tires but not ready for the expense? No worries. We have flexible payment plans to keep you and your family moving. No compromise on safety. Drive in today and experience In-N-Out Tire Pros difference. Your car will thank you. 302-934-1900.
Are you throwing money down the drain by storing hot water? It's time to make a change to a high-efficiency tankless water heater from Shager & Gas. Hi, I'm Mark 5, Shager & Gas. By installing a Navian or Rinnai tankless water heater, it will provide your home with endless hot water, all while keeping your utility bills low. With various models to choose from, Shager & Gas can help select the model that fits your home's needs. Looking to have your existing tankless water heater service? We do that too. Call Shager & Gas today at 302-644-7700.
Tune in this Wednesday at 4:40 p.m. as our featured guest will be Bruce Herman of Herman Financial. Learn all about the independent, objective, and investment solutions that Herman Financial has to offer this Wednesday at 4:40 p.m.
Can't make it to the local school board meeting, the town council meeting, or the big game? The Star will be there. For the past 26 years, the Seaford and Laurel Star has been there, covering the western Sussex communities. Subscribe to the Star today to keep informed with what's going on in your community. Call 302-629-9788 Monday through Thursday, or visit starpublications.online to subscribe to these award-winning publications. Reach for the stars.
Hey Delmarva, this is Penuel Barrett, General Sales Manager at First State Chevy in Georgetown. Do you want a dealer that puts you, the customer, first, treats you like family, and will take care of you after the sale? If so, what are you waiting for? Stop into First State Chevy today, where we can handle all your automotive needs at one location, just 1 mile north of the DMV. Give us a call at 302-856-2521 or find us on the web at firststatechevy.com. We are First State Chevy in Georgetown, where we put you, the customer, first.
Don't get frantic. Call in Lansing.
Hey, it's Mike Bradley. Tune in this Wednesday at 8:40 a.m. as our featured guest will be Dave Jones from Atlantic Refrigeration. Tune in to learn about services offered that can help you and your home. Your independent trained dealer.
Morningstar Publications produces the Seaford and Laurel Star community newspapers and the monthly business report serving Kent, Sussex, and Wacomico counties. While we print all news, our publications look for the newsmakers who are making positive contributions to our society. We also emphasize the accomplishments of our youth, both scholastically and in sports. Learn more about our award-winning publications by calling 629-9788 or visiting our website, starpublications.online.
Jake Smith here. Out and About Wednesday is approaching us again, and this week we'll be Delmarva Live on location at Greg Griddell State Farm's newest location in Harrington. Join us this Wednesday from 9 until noon.
Don't get frantic. Call in Lansing.
Soon you'll be ready to turn up the heat. No need to bundle up in jackets and heavy sweaters around the house. With Atlantic Refrigeration, you'll be able to feel comfortable while saving money on your heating bill. Hi, this is Dave Jones. With great financing available, now is the time to take advantage of a new Trane heating and cooling system. Let us show you how we can reduce your energy bill up to 50%. Call Atlantic Refrigeration today, your independent Trane dealer, at 302-856-9300. Or find us online at atlanticrefrigeration.com, because it's hard to stop a train.
Subject to credit approval, see dealer for details.
You're watching the Digital Interactive Election Results 2024, and so much going on right now. Just glancing at the screens here in Digital Studio 2, Newsmax is already crediting President Trump with 210 electoral votes, Kamala Harris with 105. In contrast, Fox News, 195 for Trump, 117 for Kamala Harris. And I just texted my good friend Jennifer Kearns, political strategist, who's actually at the Newsmax studios right now. And I'll just tell you what Jennifer said. I'll read back her text. It's all about Pennsylvania, waiting on Pennsylvania. But I'm sitting at Newsmax headquarters, and they say Pennsylvania is trending good. So that's that's good news. We just we don't know how that's going to shake out now. Pennsylvania, 19 electoral votes. Michigan, 15 electoral votes. I believe Wisconsin has 19 as well. So it's all about Pennsylvania, my friends. All roads lead in and out of Pennsylvania for Donald Trump if he is to have a second term and be the 47th president of the United States. Let me bring in MJ Powell, who's at Ruth Briggs King headquarters and in Georgetown. And I'm just wondering, MJ, what your thoughts are about the possibility that Ruth Briggs King may be serving as lieutenant governor with a Democrat.
That is a great question, Jake. Actually, Delaware has a history of two parties. It has a history going way back. More recently, we've become so divided, and Democrats have taken the lead almost exclusively. But if you go back in time, you have cases in which we have had governor in one party, lieutenant governor in another party. And it looks as though Ruth Briggs King would be the ideal candidate because she is known for working across the aisle. Thing between them, but I think each one I've spoken to, and each one has told me that they were prepared for the possibility of a split and that they would be able to make things work and to transcend it. So I think there's hope that way, although at this point Ruth is trailing some. We also have Associated Press taking the liberty of calling various winners in Delaware.
Okay, what do you have? Give us what you have, MJ.
Yes, what we have here is Blunt Rochester and let's see. All right, Lisa Blunt Rochester, they're proclaiming the winner receiving 56.32%. And also Matt Meyer as the winner with 55.94% of the vote. And they're also proclaiming Sarah McBride the winner with 57.55% of the vote at this time.
Millions of dollars that came in from everywhere in the world to send someone to represent the state of Delaware because of one issue, and that
exactly.
And
history in the making.
Well, I'm not sure it's the right kind of history for Delaware, but it is our reality, isn't it?
Yes.
But the fact is, the Republicans we had hopes that when this night started, MJ, that the Republicans were going to have some good news. It's same old, isn't it?
I know it's frustrating. But again, I think there is momentum building. It's a numbers game. It's frustrating. We're not the only state. You look at New Jersey, it's a very similar thing. The population base is in the north. Republicans are based in the south. They don't seem to have much of a chance. I think we could look at a state like Virginia and look at how Youngkin managed to win the governor's chair. It's another divided state with a huge population base in the suburbs of D.C.
Youngkin won because the previous governor, Terry, whatever his name was, his last name, it's late and I'm tired, so I'll think about it in a moment. But Maybe someone on the chat will pop in. He said that we can do a better job. We'll take over your kids and we'll raise your kids for you. He said that on the campaign trail running against Youngkin. And then the Loudoun County situation at the school board, Loudoun County School Board, happened. That was I think the best campaigning that Glenn Youngkin could have had.
It was amazing. It was all on video. You could see it playing out. And I think so many Americans are fairness-minded, and I really believe it's a silent majority believing in traditional American values. Parents should be guiding their children, not the school systems calling the shots. But you're right, we don't have anything quite that dramatic going on in Delaware right now. Maybe it will happen.
Well, it usually happens, MJ, when people get to the point where they're disgusted and they say it's time to throw the bums out. The fact is that right now the state of Delaware is the biggest employer in the state of Delaware, and the government continues to grow. And Terry McAuliffe, thank you, Terry McAuliffe, that's who it was. Yes, thank you, Bob and Lewis. Government continues to grow. Representative Holoski talked about the cost of Medicaid here in the first state. Well, it's only going to get worse because seniors who have moved here are getting old at the same time. I'm one of them. And the fact is, they're going to be putting a tremendous financial burden on the state of Delaware. We can't keep expecting to pay these kinds of bills. And you cannot find anyone in the Democrat Party in Dover that wants to stand up and say, you know what, we have to be more fiscally responsible. It's just throw money here, throw money there, more money towards education without the results. There's no accountability, and right now it's more of the same in Dover.
It's so frustrating, and following California, just modeling California. We're such a different state. Our people are different. But at this point, we just need something to break through.
Yeah, and boy, if we couldn't break through this year, I don't know when we can. You're right, it's a numbers game, but the fact is, those numbers don't seem to change very much. The only thing that did change is voter turnout this year.
Yes.
Now, is that voter turnout because of Donald Trump? Is that voter turnout because of what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did to the country? Is that voter turnout in Delaware not going to repeat itself because people will say that no matter what I do, nothing changes here. Nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jake. And I think in terms of Republican turnout, it really was Donald Trump. I think it was incredible, in particular with that assassination attempt and the way that he stood up and led and said, fight, fight, fight. And I think he has inspired Republicans everywhere. They know what it's like to be besieged, to be the underdog, and they saw him stand up. So he's a tremendous inspiration. But to your point, what happens the next time around?
We'll have to leave that for John Brady and the political scientists, right?
Yes, there you go.
All right, let's head back to Mike Bradley in Ocean City. Thank you, MJ. Mike, what's happening there?
Yeah, there's a lot as I'm going through here. First, Fox has called the U.S. Senate race for PG County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. No surprise there. Now, I'm looking at Election Day votes, and actually Governor Hogan has more Election Day votes than Alsobrooks, but she led substantially in the early voting and mail-in voting, and there's no surprise there. Now, in CD1, that's Congressional District 1, Andy Harris, the incumbent, is going to win handily over Blaine Miller, the Democrat out of Harford County, and the Libertarian Joshua O'Brien. And that has been called in his favor, so no surprise there. But CD6 is one that is it's a district that represents the D.C. Metro, but also includes Western Maryland. And you couldn't get polar opposites politically than those two areas. Right now, with 69 of 214 Election Day precincts reporting, Neil Parrott, the Republican, has a very slight lead over April McLean Delaney. In fact, he won on the early voting, not so well on the mail-in ballot, but he's leading substantially on the election day votes, and there's still a lot of precincts to go, and that's going to be the question in that race. Of the precincts left, of which there are at least over 100, where are those precincts? Are those more predominantly the D.C. Metro, or are those in Western Maryland, or a little bit of both, and where are the numbers there? But that is a race certainly to watch. We made mention earlier that in Ocean City that Rick Meehan, the incumbent, is going to win re-election, and on the council, incumbents Garrick and DeLuca winning, newcomers Matrisic and Yates. We'll have to get to the Worcester County Board of Ed results coming your way. Well, I guess we have a little bit of time next hour, but let me see what I can pull up here very quickly, Jake. Also, we will update you next hour. Question 1 had to do with abortion in the Maryland State Constitution being put in, and there's also question A in Wycomico as to whether to keep the county executive or not. And in terms of District 3 and District 5, Worcester County Board of Ed, we have some election day votes in District 3, so we'll just go with that. The incumbent, Dr. Andes, leading Cheryl Middleton, the challenger, 1401 to 1232 right now in that race. And we'll send it back to you. We'll certainly have more next hour.
All right, Mike Bradley, thank you. Mike is in Ocean City tonight. MJ Powell is at the Ruth Briggs King campaign headquarters in Georgetown. We'll also have Mary Lou working behind the scenes here, gathering data as well. So much to talk about. Our third hour this morning, we should have more data for you, more tabulations, more information coming in as the moments tick away. And my friends, it's going to be a very interesting evening. Unfortunately for Republicans, not what they had hoped. We've got a Fox News update coming up at the top of the hour. You're watching and listening to the election results here on. I'm so confused right now, so I'm just going to say we're going to throw it to Fox News, and I'll get my wits together, and we'll be back there. Digital, interactive, and loving it.
Read it tomorrow, see it tonight, or hear it now. 92.7 WGMD, Rehoboth Beach, Delmarva's news, talk, and sports station.
This is a Fox News alert. More polls closing. I'm Lisa Lacera. It's now 10 p.m. in New York. 3 more states in the West have finished voting. The Fox News decision desk says it's too early to call Nevada one of the most competitive states in play. Hispanic and working class voters could be the key to victory. Fox News can project that former President Trump will win Utah, adding another 6 votes to his column. He will also win Montana's presidential election. The Fox News decision desk can now project that former President Trump will win Ohio, and the Fox News decision desk can project Vice President Harris will win the state of New Hampshire. Trump came closer than many expected, but Harris did well in cities and suburban areas. And the Fox News decision desk can now project Texas Senator Ted Cruz will win a 3rd term. He defeats Democratic Congressman Colin Allred in the Maryland Senate race. The Fox News decision desk can now project the Democratic County Executive Angela Alsobrooks will defeat former Republican Governor Larry Hogan. Trump supporters are gathered at Palm Beach Convention Center.
It follows a final few grueling campaign days, says Trump's senior advisor Tim Murtaugh.
You could tell how much fun he was having. I think maybe he was a little bit wistful on the stage in Michigan because he knew that, no matter what happens, that was his last campaign rally.
The former president has already said he hasn't prepared speeches for tonight.
Fox's Evan Brown in West Palm Beach. Vice President Harris will await results at her alma mater, Howard University.
We're here at the Yard. It's a big quadrangle on campus that's been the site of historical events. It's where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Jackie Robinson received their honorary degrees.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Voters in Florida have rejected creating a right in the state's constitution to an abortion, while Maryland voters also add protections for abortion rights to the state's constitution. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Don't miss the epic return of Yellowstone, premiering Sunday at 8/7 Central, only on Paramount Network.
Legacy. If you build something worth having, someone's going to try and take it.
What I'm doing isn't for the ranch. It's for us.
America's #1 show returns.
I spent my whole life here. Me too.
You destroy me, you destroy yourself.
Unlike you, I keep my promises.
The epic return of Yellowstone. Sunday at 8/7 Central on Paramount Network.
More from the Fox News Decision Desk. Turning to the Senate, Montana is also home to a pivotal race there. Longtime rural Democratic Senator Jon Tester is in the political fight for his life against Republican former Navy SEAL Tim Shea. The Fox News Decision Desk says it's too early to call. Nevada, too early to call this Senate race between incumbent Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen and Republican Army veteran Sam Brown. But in Utah, Fox News is projecting that Republican Congressman John Curtis will move to the Senate. He succeeds retiring Senator Mitt Romney. In governor races, Utah's Republican Governor Spencer Cox will win another term. That's according to our Decision Desk. And in Montana's governor's race, Republican Greg Gianforte will win a second term. A legal standoff involving the Parkland High School shooter is now over.
Families of some of the students killed in the Parkland High School massacre and the most seriously wounded survivor of the 2018 shooting have now come to an agreement over who owns the killer's name and likeness. The settlement coming after the most gravely wounded survivor, Anthony Borges, agreed to share the rights to gunman Nicholas Cruz's name, meaning he and another student survivor, as well as the families of 3 slain students, now control any attempt by Cruz to profit off his name or likeness or grant interviews. Each of the 5 parties has veto power. They'd also split a $400,000 annuity Cruz's late mother left him if he ever receives it. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
Rafael just upgraded to a hurricane as it pushes past western Jamaica and heads towards Cuba. The storm now located about 70 miles southwest of Montego Bay with maximum sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. Leonard Glenn Francis, nicknamed Fat Leonard, sentenced to 15 years in prison in order to pay $20 million in restitution to the Navy and $150,000 fine. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
92.7 and 98.5 WGMD is the official talk radio station of the White Marlin Open in Ocean City.
It is 4 o'clock, and that is the time, the official opening of the scales.
Listen for interviews with Madeline and Sasha, news, information, and updates all throughout the year on the WMO and Marlin Fest right here on 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva.com, and the WGMD app. And remember, fish on.
Digital interactive election night coverage continues on the talk of Delmarva. And we can expect more in the way of local tabulations to be coming our way in just a few moments. The polls in Delaware closed at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And when those polls close, the poll data is actually driven by the poll officers to a location or locations across the state where those votes are tabulated by the Department of Elections. So we should be getting more of that data. Let's see if Mike Bradley is available. Mike, he is there. Mike, take it away.
Yes, I am with you here into another hour. We just, to recap, we're talking about the fact that, the U.S. Senate race has been called for Angela Alsobrooks, so that's not a surprise there.
No.
We talked about the issues that former Governor Hogan had as we see it in running his campaign. He did get more day of votes, but again, when it came to mail-in voting and early voting, there was quite a margin there. In CD1, again, that's the incumbent Andy Harris. That's called for him. He won substantially over Blaine Miller, the Democrat, and the Libertarian Josh O'Brien, so secure there. We talked about CD6, and that's a big one because, that, again, is a district that's made up of the D.C. Metro and the Western Maryland, and the point being is that with potential House losses in New York and California, that this is one that could be picked up that wasn't expected, so that could help mitigate with the House a little bit. That's still a very tight race, although the numbers for Parrott have increased, and now he has a 3-point lead with 84 of 214 reporting, so still a lot to go there in that one. For those just tuning in, again, to reiterate, again, in Ocean City, the mayoral race between the incumbent Rick Meehan and the challenger, Councilman Peter Buis. Rick Meehan won that, so he's going to be in for another 2 years. And again, that was a big race, especially when the town just announced that they're suing concerning these wind turbines. It's really critical who's the mayor, and the town decided not to change the jockey midstream, if you will, on the horse.
And Mike, also, if I may add, longtime police chief Ross Bizzarro just announced his retirement, which was shocking.
Well, I thought he had maybe another year or two to go, but he had served for 40 years. So that was coming, Jake, maybe a little earlier than some expected, but not entirely a surprise there. That's not an elected position, but still, you're right. That's a big job, and the council, the mayor, will have to go about doing a national. In fact, they have said they're going to do a national search there, in addition to any internal candidates. For the council, the incumbents, Gehrig and DeLuca, winning re-election there. They're the top 2 vote getters, and new folks on the council. Jake Matrisic, who's the son of Joe Matrisic, the Worcester County Commissioner from District 7, and then Larry Yates is also the newbie there as well. We told you about school board elections in Districts 2, 3, and 5 in Worcester County, and in some parts of the state of Maryland, the school boards are not elected. The county executives appoint them, but on the Eastern Shore, many of the counties, the Board of Eds are voted for. And again, in District 2, the incumbent Donald Smack Sr. is going to win re-election handily with 4 or 5 precincts reporting. In District 3, 2 of 3 have reported so far. Right now, Dr. Andes has about a 200-vote lead over the challenger, Cheryl Middleton. Dr. Andes, the incumbent. And in District 5, we do not have any Election Day results yet there, but from the early voting and mail-in voting, Elena McComas, the incumbent, leading Dorothy Shelton Leslie, the challenger, 1,084 to 989. I was taking a look, Jake, at some of the at the state question, and that is question number 1, having to do with enshrinement of abortion into the Maryland State Constitution. Overwhelmingly, with a majority of the Election Day precincts reported by about 75 to 25%, the voters have voted for it, which there was really no need for that because the law as it stands now makes it fully legal. There are no issues there. I think it was a ploy to get Democrat voters out. It was also a ploy, I think, to help in a campaign like also Brooks and Hogan, but at the same time, in that, what that allows to have happen is it allows children of any age to get gender-affirming care, as they call it, mutilation, as I call it, without parental consent.
Right. That was hidden. That was hidden in the bill, was it not, Mike?
Well, it wasn't a part of the ballot. So when you take a look at the synopsis of that question, yeah, that wasn't included in there. And we talked with some people about this. Now, those who support it say, "Oh, well, there's already laws on the books that give parental consent." Right. The answer to that is, but the constitutional amendments supersede whatever's on the books. So that would be a very difficult legal argument to make. And so that is a very scary proposition there that is going to end up being the law of the land unless the state can go back and get that changed down the line with yet another amendment or adjustment to that amendment to the Constitution. So those are certainly some of those. I'm trying to find right now question number A, or question A, I should say, on Wycomico County concerning whether or not they want to keep the county executive or not. For some reason, I've had a difficult time finding that, but I'll reach out to Julie Giordano about that. My sense is that question A, they're going to keep the county executive, in my opinion, there, based on the people that I've talked to.
Mike, in New York, you and I have talked about this, Proposition 1 in New York, if it does become law, and it is agreed upon by the voters in New York, the state of New York can take your parental rights away if you do not provide gender-affirming care for your child. It goes a step further, above and beyond what Maryland's done tonight.
I mean, Jake, think about that for a second.
Oh, yeah.
That is where the left has gone so far, and how do there can't be that many Democrat voters that are okay with that are parents. I just don't. They're either uninformed or they somehow don't think this is an issue.
Or they're voting out of anger, Mike. They're just voting, saying, you know what, the other side doesn't like it, so I'm going to vote it that way and screw them.
Jake, that's a big part of it as well. I think you make a good point. I did get a chance to bring up Question A in Wycomico County with 60 of 63 precincts reported. Question A against the charter amendment leads handily 55 to about 45% there. So it looks like that is going to be defeated, that they will keep a county executive and not have a councilmatic form of government. And that, look, that was very contentious. I can tell you right now, between the county executive and the Wycomico County Council, they still have a couple more years to go in trying to work together. Many of the councilmen who are in favor of it are not running for re-election, and they said, see, we don't have any skin in the game for this. Some people would say it feels like that's kind of hypocritical to push for that, but then not be running for re-election, but that is what it is.
Well, Mike, you've done a great job in covering that story and giving both sides an opportunity to state their case. But it does look like they just don't want to work together in the end, Mike.
There are issues there back and forth, but the bottom line is the Wycomico County citizens have decided to keep the county executive, and with the upcoming council races in a couple of years, that'll be very interesting to see if that will then put together a Republican coalition where they can work together, because it's a majority Republican.
You're right. A lot of bad blood. A lot of bad blood there, Mike.
The crazy thing is it's a Republican county executive, and it's a majority Republican council, and they can't get together, and that's when you do have the power, they still can't use it to their advantage, and that's disappointing.
And that frustrates Republican voters. Mike, at the end of the night tonight,
yes,
will the Eastern Shore be any less red or more red than it was before the early voting started?
No, because there aren't really many other than school board races, which are
we got congressional race too. You got Andy Harris.
Well, I'm sorry, you're right. So that right. So right, but it didn't become any more red or less red there. It stayed the same. But other than the school board races and the mayoral and city council races, and those are nonpartisan races, the answer is no. You'll have some of those coming up in the next year or two. The sheriff here, Matt Crisafulli, who's in the House tonight, he's already announced that he's running for re-election. I don't want to speak for the state's attorney, Chris Heisler, who was here. I would think, just my opinion, I'm not speaking for her, I would think that she'll be running for re-election as well, both Republicans there. But no worse for the wear tonight, thankfully. But I tell you, with the Delaware races, Jake, very disheartening to say the least. I know it's been talked about. And, look, I do a local show that covers state and local like that. And my show, the station, we took a hit tonight with these races, with the way things are turning out. And it's the way it is, but what change, if any, is in the offing in the near future or in the future period? That's a big question, and the Delaware GOP, again, is going to have to take a hard look at themselves as to what they have to do to make incremental progress, and that's where it's going to have to start. But right now, their batting average is pretty bad.
Mike,
and not for lack of trying, though. I don't mean that disrespect, but not for lack of trying. But look, tonight, Jake, where are the wins? There's 0 wins here.
I mean, Delaware's in a much worse place tonight than it was before the votes were counted. There's no question about it, Mike.
Yeah, and you look, not entirely surprising, but you look at Sussex County Council, District 3 there. Jane Grunbaum looks like she's going to win handily over Mark Schaefer.
Mike, I didn't hear that before. Thank you for giving us that information. I can't believe that with all of the work that Councilman Schaefer has done. I don't know what's behind that, but
it has to do with land use decisions. And while he has certainly voted against a number of land use changes or land use decisions vis-a-vis conditional use and change of zone applications, there's still a feeling, though, that there's still too much development and maybe he hasn't done enough. And there's a feeling that there needs to be better planning and even more scrutiny of these applications, and whether it's fair or unfair. Clearly tonight he either didn't get that message out enough, which I find that hard to believe. He's a tireless worker, or those in that area have just said we need a change for change's sake.
All right, Mike Bradley, thank you. Mike's in Ocean City, some very interesting information, and I'm shocked with respect to hear that about Mark Schaefer's race. Let's go back to MJ Powell, who's at the headquarters tonight of Ruth Briggs King, Republican candidate for lieutenant governor. MJ, I see you working feverishly with some facts and figures there. What are you seeing? Anything jump out at you? All right, hold on, MJ. We've got an issue with your audio there, so maybe we should... All right, I'll tell you what. Let's take a pause. We'll give you an opportunity to get your audio back up, and we're going to take a break. We'll be back to talk more about the tabulations. The information's coming in now, and we're finding out more of what kind of night tonight's going to be for Republicans in the first state of Delaware. It's not looking very good.
Make your car care a hassle-free experience. As a valued customer, you'll enjoy the added perks of 3 free tows, ensuring you're never left stranded. We're here to keep you moving smoothly and exceptional service and trusted expertise. In-N-Out Tire Pros with 15 bays to service your needs. So why wait? Drive in today and experience peace of mind with In-N-Out Tire Pros. Our priority is your satisfaction on and off the road. In-N-Out Tire Pros, Millsboro.
Jake Smith here. Out and About Wednesday is approaching us again, and this week we'll be Delmarva Live on location at Greg Griddell State Farm's newest location in Harrington. Join us this Wednesday from 9 until noon.
Every time you watch the Ravens game at the original Green Turtle in North Ocean City, you get a chance to win up to 3 pairs of game tickets. The original Green Turtle presents Ravens football on WGMD's 92.7, a Delmarva Ravens affiliate.
You're watching the digital interactive election night coverage. The Talk of Delmarva. My name is Jake Smith. We are joined by MJ Powell, Mike Bradley. John Brady joined us a little earlier this evening. And we are finding out, again, that Republicans in this state are, well, they're taking another beating. Why? Well, we can sit and prognosticate and do post-game wrap-up for weeks. But the fact of the matter is that a majority of voters here in Delaware think that the Democrats have this state on solid ground, and they want to continue going in that direction. That's what it appears to me. With that, let's see if we can get MJ Powell back. MJ, are you there? Well, I hear audio. I don't hear MJ. All right. Well, with that, we're going to bring it back here to DS2, and we're taking a look at some of the races in Maryland, as Mike told you. Also, Brooks really by a 2-to-1 margin beat Larry Hogan very badly, and it's hard to believe that Larry Hogan, who was a very popular 2-term governor in Maryland, had this kind of this poor of a showing running for United States Senate in the old line state. But he did. But the fact of the matter is there were 2 Larry Hogans. The Larry Hogan who ran for governor and won a lot of Democrat voters' support when he ran for governor twice. And then, unfortunately, the Larry Hogan who decided to run for Senate either turned off Republican voters for his Trump derangement syndrome and the fact that he wasn't acting very Republican at all. And he went out of his way constantly to say, well, I'm more of an independent thinker. Well, he lost Democrats, I think, and he lost Republicans. That pragmatic, no-nonsense, common-sense kind of Larry Hogan won over Republicans and Democrats when he ran for governor back in 2014. Those people deserted Larry Hogan tonight. And there's only one person who gets the blame for that, and that's Larry Hogan. All right, MJ, are you there? All right, tell us what you are seeing, the numbers that you're crunching there.
Okay, what we're seeing, Mark Schaefer basically down by 10 points, essentially, over Jane Gruenbaum. I'll tell you, actually, if you look at the eastern side of his region, you'll find that that's where you've got a heavy concentration of people moving in from the big cities, very liberal people moving into all of those new developments and they have a whole different thought pattern going. And I think Jane Grunbaum taps into that. I also think that she launched a highly aggressive campaign, and she was constantly trying to link Mark Schaefer with developers because he is a realtor. So she was trying to connect those dots, and he was trying to break through that by talking about actual accomplishments. But somehow she had a lot of power, she had a lot of money on her side. And these are exactly the people we hear about who are the suburban women, the ultra liberals in particular, the ones who get together and launch letter writing campaigns. There's a grassroots effort of their own. So I've seen that momentum building. I'm not as surprised at this point.
Well, MJ, there's another point, too, that needs to be mentioned with respect to Mark Schaefer if he does, in fact, lose tonight. And Mark's a personal friend of mine. But his district was gerrymandered a couple of years ago. I was part of his district. And Mark Schaefer had very strong support in the district, in the part of the district that was taken away from him and handed over to John Riley. Now, I will tell you, and this is my opinion and my opinion only, the votes and the support that was, well, let's put it this way, the voters that were moved, gerrymandered out of District 3 were those who would have supported and continued to support Mark Schaefer. And where his district was moved, those would have been voters that would have had the propensity to look for someone else. So I think that gerrymandering a couple of years ago hurt Mark Schaefer.
Well, that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. I do think the other thing is, if you recall I.G. Burton, when he got a role on the council, I think he surprised a lot of people, because a lot of people, again, in that eastern segment, thought that he was going to be far more liberal and thought that he was going to really side with developers. He surprised a lot of people. And I think that some of the anti-growth people really sort of held it against Mark Schaefer. And I think that that is something that was very unfortunate, but I think that that also contributed to this. Again, we don't know. It has not been called yet. Same situation with Lieutenant Governor, with Ruth Briggs King. Essentially, she's down 10%, very similar numbers there. Now, an interesting one to keep an eye on is Nikki Miller, because this has been close all night long. At this point, she is in with 1 percentage point of Stell Parker Selby. So that is Representative District 20.
20, right.
And, yeah, so that's one to keep an eye on.
That's Steve Smick's old district, I believe.
I believe you're right. And Republicans can sure use a victory. So we'll have to really, really keep our eye on that.
MJ, it's disheartening for Republicans. I'm a Republican, but my favorite saying is, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And the Republican Party doesn't like to be told the truth. I've told them the truth, and especially those who have been in office for a long period of time. They hold it against me, but they need to get younger. They need to. The people who have been in the party for a long period of time, that run for office term after term after term, they think they own those seats, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of new blood getting into the Republican Party. And I think in long term, it hurts the Republican Party. What do you think?
Well, I think you're right, Jake. And I think that if Trump can cinch this, With J.D. Vance, there's a role model. And again, as you were mentioning before, it's that inspiration at the national level. I think it filters down. J.D. Vance represents the youth that you're talking about, the energy. I think the fact that Joe Rogan actually endorsed Trump is going to influence a whole new generation of young men in particular. So I think there is hope, but I agree with you in terms of what needs to change.
Something has to change because right now the Republican, that supermajority, I haven't looked at the numbers yet, but we're getting closer and closer to that supermajority, and that will be that'll be a bad thing for Delaware. And certainly, I wonder how many Delawareans actually feel that Delaware is on the right track. All right, MJ, thank you. Let me head back to Mike Bradley back in Ocean City. Mike, I'm sure you heard what MJ and I were talking about with regard to Mark Schaefer. Your thoughts?
Yeah, again, I mean, I think MJ made some really good points there. Look, when you take a look, actually, on the western side of Sussex County in District 1 and 2, where you had GOP primaries there, where the Republicans who won those races talked about really scrutinizing land use and approvals much more stringently, and they won overwhelmingly in those races. Right. So you knew in District 3, where you have a lot more Democrats there come a general, you knew that that was going to be a huge issue. And so it's not entirely surprising. The margin is, but it's not entirely surprising if Jane pulls it off, although I certainly thought Mark would pull it off, but not necessarily by a large margin. Am I completely shocked here? I'm not. I'm shocked by the margin. We'll see what the final numbers ultimately say there. But again, Sussex Countyans are sending a message that they want these change of zone and conditional use applications essentially denied. They want to stop building as much as legally possible on that. And just real quickly before you get to our
Mike,
guests,
let me just. If you want to
sure.
do that, you better be prepared to lay out a lot of money for external law firms to fight, because you're going to get your butt sued off by these big builders. They're going to sue you.
I said up to legally. The change of zone and conditional use applications, the council does not have to approve those above and beyond what that land is zoned for. So, no, I just said legally. You're right. If they were to impose a building ban, you're right. There would be a lawsuit that the county would lose on that.
I mean, a moratorium on new building, Mike, it would embroil the county in very expensive lawsuits.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I think the citizens want to go up to the line as much as they can before going that far. To your point, and let me just point out really quickly. Yeah. In some of these state rep races, let's not forget the 14th. That's Pete Schwarzkopf's old seat. It's an open seat. Mike Simpler, I thought, had a really good shot here. I mean, look, you had Democrats, including Pete Schwarzkopf, call her a socialist. So I really thought Mike, who's very ingrained in the community, had a good shot here. Right now, though, he trails by 9 percentage points. So, again, in some of these races where Republicans had maybe some of their best chances of winning seats, they're still coming up very short, and that's obviously disheartening. But let me jump here to the Old Line State. Sarah McGodham is joining us from the Delmarva Skin Specialist, and she's one of the sponsors of tonight's watch party here at the Holiday Inn at 66th Street at Ocean City. And, Sarah, you work for a small business, and to that end, over the last 4 years, it's been awfully difficult.
Yeah, the past 4 to 5 years have been a huge challenge, and so we're here to support and hope for our president and Congress leaders that are going to help support our small practice. And for us, I co-own the business with another physician, and we are small, and we're a small independent practice. We support our community. We're able to keep things authentic, and you start seeing these medical practices, they get absorbed by large hospital systems, corporate practices, and you lose that special touch. And so we need leadership that's going to help support our business and keep it strong and help us keep our doors open for patients for years to come.
That is a great point, because these small companies can give such specialized and personal service. But when the economy is such where, because of certain things going on in D.C. policy-wise, that affects the economy, that affects small businesses like you do get gobbled up by bigger companies. And we've seen a lot of that happen in the marketplace, especially in HVAC, for instance, in plumbing. We've seen a lot of that locally happen, and so it takes away that very local touch. And we don't want to see that have to be
No.
the case.
You know, monopolies are never a good thing, and that comes to healthcare as well. You're right. You see that in regular businesses, but it's also happening in healthcare. We're getting these big conglomerates, and you lose that special touch. And so we're really looking forward to hopefully being successful and keeping our business open and successful. We treat a lot of skin cancer, and here on the Eastern Shore, skin cancer is kind of an epidemic. We see a lot of local fishermen, farmers, a lot of retirees who tend to be
Mike,
older
I've got
and
to
have
interrupt
skin
you, Mike.
cancer. So
Mike,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mike. I've got to interrupt you.
Go ahead, Jake.
Newsmax is projecting President Trump wins Georgia. Newsmax is projecting President Trump wins Georgia. All he needs is Pennsylvania, Mike, now at this point. Newsmax is now projecting Trump wins Georgia. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Jake. No, that's a big state, and the fact that we're even talking about that possibly going blue is surprising, but it did, and now it's back to red, so that's big. And Sarah, obviously, that's a step in the right direction as well as we talk about today with small businesses, the economy, and how You guys have really been affected and hit hard, and especially the smaller businesses. The bigger businesses, yeah, they may lay off some folks, they may increase costs, but they're not going out of business.
Right.
You
let me talk
either
about
go out of
healthcare.
business or get gobbled up.
Let me
Go
tell
ahead.
you about healthcare. Healthcare is interesting because Medicare sets the environment for all the other insurance payers. So, for example, Medicare, they pay you and reimburse you whatever they want to reimburse you. If you go to a restaurant and say the cost of supplies go up, restaurants can set the cost to be higher, and so the customer is then paying a higher fee. In healthcare, the government sets what they pay doctors' offices and your small businesses. So for us, with inflation going up through the roof, we're still at set costs, so it's making hard to make ends meet. And so you start seeing a lot of these doctors are going into early retirement, or they're selling their practices and joining these big corporate practices or big hospital systems.
Yeah.
So we're all getting gobbled up, and so we just need support and leadership that's going to change that and support small businesses.
Yeah. No, Sarah, you couldn't say it any better. And again, these are the kind of interviews and these are the kind of stories that I think folks in D.C. need to hear about more, because they don't seem to realize how they have such a huge impact, and on the quote-unquote working man and the small businesses, the mom and pops that they claim to be protecting, they're doing quite the opposite.
No, it's been a challenge, and every year we go to D.C., we ask them to help make sure that medical practices are going to be around for the near future, but it's been kind of doom and gloom. I feel like we're just like falling on deaf ears, like we're not making any movement, so we need leadership that's going to make some big changes.
Yeah. Sarah, thank you so much. Sarah McAdam of the Delmarva Skin Specialist, at one of the sponsors of tonight's watch party, our viewing party here at the Holiday Inn at 66th Street in Ocean City. Sarah, thank you. We appreciate it. And Jake, certainly good news. I know you reported about the Newsmax end of things. I'm looking here at Fox News. They have not called Georgia yet, but they're being a little, I guess, more conservative now. But obviously, that's a good sign if they take Georgia, and I've got to think that he will.
Mike, right now, according to Newsmax, the electoral count for Trump is 242 to Harris's 108. That's what Newsmax is reporting.
Yeah, and Fox has 205 to 117. That hasn't moved much. So obviously a difference there between Newsmax and Fox, but that's okay. I mean, we're here to report the different ones. And real quick, and I'll let you go because I know you got John. I'm really surprised with Michigan because for being the car capital of the world, how in the world could they end up voting for another 4 years of this administration? I know that's not the entire electorate there, but it's just surprising.
Well, but Mike, you're forgetting about all the subcontractors for the auto industry that work, that make money off the auto industry that don't exactly work for the car companies. But the news last week from Germany, that Volkswagen closed 3 plants last week because China has dumped their cars on the Chinese cars on the German market. And people aren't buying Volkswagens anymore. The same thing's going to happen here. And you talk about, they talk about Detroit's a ghost town. Well, it's going to be an even bigger ghost town if President Trump is not in the White House. And I agree with you. One person in Michigan They just don't care about the auto industry anymore. I guess they don't care about it, Mike.
Yeah, and I understand that most of the rank and file, or the majority of them, are voting for Trump, but it's their friends and neighbors who may not be employed by the auto industry, but to your point, maybe offshoots of it, or maybe they're in something completely different. But how can they not look at that and say, I don't want to see my friend, my family member unemployed. I don't want to see them out on the streets because of this kind of policy. That it just does not make sense. In
well,
Michigan,
how about the
if
financial
it goes
stability of the state? I mean,
well, that's right.
You know?
And again, if it goes that way, we're not saying it has or will, but right now that.
Well,
that
it shouldn't even be in play for the Democrats, Mike. They have threatened the livelihood of people who live and work in Michigan. And they've done it time and again. And the fact that it's in play just tells you all you need to know. Mike, thank you. Let me bring in John Brady. John Brady, political strategist, political historian here in Delaware. John, go ahead.
Tonight, nationally, the Republican Party has done very strong. They have taken the U.S. Senate back from preliminary numbers, and they're keeping very close on the House, and it's getting closer by the state being called for President Trump. Unfortunately, the Republican Party in the state of Delaware has let the nation down.
John, on a year where they had a very good opportunity, but, I'm going to be talking more about this in the days ahead. The old Republican Guard's way of thinking, they just will not change it. They won't alter it. They fight Julianne Murray at every opportunity when she tries to inject some new and fresh ideas. The old guard, and they know exactly who they are, they refuse to change their way of thinking and doing things. They still think it's Delaware from the 1970s, and it's not. And the fact of the matter is their refusal to continue with the old guard's way of thinking has doomed the Republican Party here in Delaware. Sadly, it has.
And from looking at the statewide state representative votes, Mike Ramone's seat has flipped to Democrat.
Well, but John, he barely held on to that seat when he ran for re-election the last time, right?
Understood. But that gets it closer to a supermajority. Yep. And in Sussex, as it looks right now, Mark Schaefer, even though there's some districts still out, I don't think there are enough numbers there for Mark Schaefer to prevail.
Do you think the redistricting of Schaefer's district a couple of years ago, of which I was living in that district, John, did that have anything to do with his defeat tonight, do you think?
I think so. Also, remember, that seat now has bounced in 12 years from Joan Deaver to I.G. Burden to Mark Schaefer to possibly Jane Grunenbaum.
Yeah.
4 different representatives because they've changed the lines. Now, who changed the lines for Sussex?
Pete Schwarzkopf.
Sussex County Council.
Oh, I thought it was Pete Schwarzkopf that redrew
no,
those.
The county changes the district lines. And that is something that you look at and need to be considered. Did they do that to make it so he wouldn't win re-election?
Well, if he did, Mike Vincent's not going to be around to benefit because he's out of office in January, too.
Right. And so is Cindy Green.
Right.
So the 3 that were up have now all been replaced. So we're going to have a brand new council with only 2 members that have any experience, John Riley and Doug Hudson.
Yeah, the Sussex County Council is going through a rather extensive revision and turnover come this January. It'll be very interesting to see, John, how that plays out. And again, from a legal standpoint, if people who voted against Mark Schaefer think that they are going to enact some type of building moratorium here, tell us about the costs of hiring outside counsel, John, to defend those things for taxpayers.
We're going through property revaluation.
Good point.
And if we have a major issue with anticipated litigation, for the first time in 30-some years, the tax rate may increase.
John, great point. Great point. John, thanks for checking in with us. If you get anything else, please give us a holler, okay?
Take care.
You're listening to the Digital Interactive Election Night coverage here on the Talk of Delmarva. My name is Jake Smith. We're going to be on the air for probably another 20 minutes or so. But if you've just tuned in, if you're watching us or listening to us for the first time, it is another dismal evening. I use dismal twice because, well, I don't know what else to say, for Republicans. It's time for those Republicans who have been in office to continue to do a little soul searching. And for those of us who implored them to get out of the way and let some new thinking enter into the mix, well, you've got the same result. If nothing changes, nothing changes. You have no one to blame but yourself. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more of our Digital Interactive Election Night coverage in just a moment. Please stay with us.
Unlock the power of your home's equity with All-American Mortgage. Transform your home's value into tax-free cash without the burden of monthly mortgage payments. A reverse mortgage not only allows you to retain ownership of your home, but also cover existing mortgage payments and other financial expenses. Plus, you can still leave your home to your heirs. If you're 62 or older and live in Delaware or Maryland, call me, Jim Fritz, with All-American Mortgage at 302-245-2327 for a financial plan focused on all of your goals.
You know that this is the best time of year to seed your lawn. Hi, this is Gary Rhodes from Southern States Milford. We have the grass seed you need to establish a beautiful lawn. We have Mid-Atlantic Blend and Statesman Tall Fescue. We have Shadescape mixture for those shady areas. Our grass seeds are finer bladed, more disease resistant, greener, and more drought tolerant than the regular fescue. Our experts will help you choose the right grass seed for your lawn. Stop by Southern States Milford at the corner of Route 14 and the Williamsville Road. Southern States Milford, owned by the community for 75 years.
Join expert Scott Wilkins from 8 to 8:30 this coming Saturday on WGMD's 92.7's Ask the Expert and find out about power washing your house and cleaning the black stains from your roof. That's Ask the Expert this coming Saturday at 8 on WGMD's 92.7.
Hey veterans, it's that time for your free basic oil change and 50% off full synthetic changes. Hi, it's John from Lewis and Milford Meineke. Come on down and see us on November 11th. Lewis and Milford Meineke, proud to serve those who served.
Don't get frantic. Call Atlantic.
Soon you'll be ready to turn up the heat. No need to bundle up in jackets and heavy sweaters around the house. With Atlantic Refrigeration, you'll be able to feel comfortable while saving money on your heating bill. Hi, this is Dave Jones. With great financing available, now is the time to take advantage of a new Trane heating and cooling system. Let us show you how we can reduce your energy bill up to 50%. Call Atlantic Refrigeration today, your independent Trane dealer, at 302-856-9300. Or find us online at atlanticrefrigeration.com, because it's hard to stop a train.
Subject to credit approval, see dealer for details. Your favorite restaurant has brought back lunch specials for the off-season. That's right, Nicola Pizza on Highway 1 now offers 25% off on all pasta dishes every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Yes, that's 25% off. And then come back on Wednesday and receive double points for all rewards program members. Visit Nicola Pizza on Coastal Highway, Lewis. Nicola Pizza, always fresh with a family-friendly atmosphere.
Can't make it to the local school board meeting, the town council meeting, or the big game? The Star will be there. For the past 26 years, the Seaford and Laurel Star has been there, covering the western Sussex communities. Subscribe to the Star today to keep informed with what's going on in your community. Call 302-629-9788 Monday through Thursday, or visit starpublications.online to subscribe to these award-winning publications. Reach for the stars.
Tune in this Wednesday at 4:40 p.m. as our featured guest will be Bruce Herman of Herman Financial. Learn all about the independent, objective, and investment solutions that Herman Financial has to offer this Wednesday at 4:40 p.m.
You've reached our digital interaction election coverage, Election Night 2024. My friends, as John Brady said, and I'll reiterate, it's been a very good night so far nationally for Republicans. It's been a very bad night statewide in Delaware for Republicans. Why the difference? Well, the America First movement, common sense, the old Republican guard, which refuses to change their ways and to even consider a new way of thinking. Unfortunately, I've been complaining about it. They blame me for saying it out loud, and sadly, they have nothing to show for it tonight. Nationally, Republicans, it appears they're going to take the House and the Senate and hopefully the White House. Here in Delaware, we are facing a super majority. Now, let's head back to Ruth Briggs King headquarters, and Ruth Briggs King, the Republican candidate for lieutenant governor. And let's find out what's happening there. MJ Powell. MJ.
Oh, boy. As you said, Jake, what a contrast between what it looks like nationally and what it is here in Delaware.
Well, let me ask you, MJ, do you think that rubs salt in the wound of Republican voters in the state when they see Republicans doing well everywhere except here in Delaware? What is that? Do you think that's salt in the wound? What do you think?
I think it's salt in the wound. I also think they have some soul searching to do. If you look at the overall numbers, they did not turn out. And so what can you expect if you're not willing to do it? You see these great candidates. We had a great roster, particularly good this year. They put themselves out there and they're not getting the support. I say to the audience all the time, take Donald Trump. He needed us to take it over the finish line. He set it up. He did the heavy lifting. We're not getting that support in Delaware. However, when you look at the race for lieutenant governor, very good lessons to be learned here. First of all, Ruth Briggs King has received roughly 220,000 votes. That's more votes than a Republican has had in this state in a very long time. Right. Let me give you an example. Mike Ramone for governor, he had 94,000 votes. You have the House. You had John Whalen, 90,000 votes. Senate, Eric Hansen, 86,000 votes. So again, we look at Ruth, and she had 220,000. What does that mean? It means she had to have attracted crossover.
No question. Independents. Her message, I think, attracted independents and Democrat voters. There's no question that it did.
Yes, absolutely. And on top of that, when you look at the spending, she spent roughly $100,000 on her campaign. Compare that to her opponent's $1 million. Kyle Evan Gay, $1 million. Gay also had about a year to prepare her campaign, and King had 6 months. So I think there are some lessons for the party, and I think we can also take some inspiration here.
All right. Well, again, I think that there were lessons to be learned from the Republicans, but they've been slapped in the face with these lessons for years, and they just refuse to. This is the way we've always done it, and unfortunately, they just don't want to change. And it's very sad to see. As a Republican, I would like to see. I would like to see more of a balance in and a better debate in Dover, but that's not going to happen. And the sad part about it is, MJ, and I'm not sure if Jeff Holofsky's still there, but there are instances where he was just ignored. There was legislation that he wanted to introduce where they just throw it on a desk and leave it there. It didn't matter because there was a Republican who wrote that piece of legislation or sponsored that piece of legislation. That's what the Democrats think of the Republicans. That's the way they're treated in the State House. So, I've told Republican voters in this state that, you can't just be Republican voters. You can't just be reactive. You've got to get involved, and you can't just show up and vote. You've got to have to do more. And unfortunately, on a night like this, there's not a lot of people that are going to want to get involved if they feel that they're going to spend money and they're going to spend all this time, and they've got no chance of winning. MJ, what do you think?
Well, it's frustrating, but look at Hilovsky. He's going to have another term. Look at someone like Rich Collins. So again, it's possible, but I don't know what it takes to light a fire under Republicans in general. I really don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, MJ, it's there'll be a lot of discussion, I'm sure, tomorrow on Mike's show when Senator Pettyjohn are on and Representative Valerie Jones Giltner. Did you check the numbers on Representative Valerie Jones Giltner? What were her numbers?
Let me get back to you on that.
You get back to us.
Yeah.
Let me go back to Mike in Ocean City one last time. Mike Bradley, are you there? What's happening in Ocean City?
Yeah, and just quickly, if I may follow up, and then I'll get to the Maryland end of things. Valerie ran, by the way, she ran unopposed. But I was doing the math here just quickly. So let's not forget something about you, Jake. You're talking about supermajority. So if it looks like, I guess, Russ Huxtable's going to win Senate 6, so that keeps the supermajority for the Democrats in the Senate in Dover. For the House, based on going through these races, okay, in the 20th, if Stell wins, Stell Parker Selby, which has a narrow margin, but if she wins, it was already Democrat. The 14th looks like it's going to remain Democrat, but it was already Democrat.
Right.
The 4th, the 41st, and don't forget Brian Shoup's race against the Democrat. They're all winners there. So there's no change among those 5 races there.
Yeah, Mike Ramon's seat, though, flipped, Mike.
Right, and that's what I was getting at in the 21st.
Right.
So they're now 1 vote away in the House from having the supermajority. Now, on the Maryland end of things, just to kind of recap things here, we talked about already, we kind of beat dead horse on that, but the U.S. Senate race, Angela Alsobrooks defeating former Governor Hogan, who certainly can look back and look at many mistakes I think made and you think made on that race. Congressman Harris wins handily in the 1st Congressional District race there. In Ocean City, Mayor Rick Meehan, the incumbent, winning re-election. On the council, Gehrig, DeLuca, Matrisic, and Yates. Gehrig and DeLuca, the incumbents, they win re-election. In Worcester County Board of Education races in District 3, John Michael Andes, the incumbent, winning re-election. Elena McComas in District 5, the incumbent, winning re-election. In Wycomico County, Question A was defeated. They keep the county executive, that is, in Jolie Giordano. Question 1 on the Maryland ballot will enshrine, among other things, abortion into the Maryland state constitution on that. Now, I did want to check here as well, just quickly, Jake, and taking a look at CD6, a race in which Republicans have a chance to win. And Neil Parrott right now, 163 of 214 Election Day precincts, Neil Parrott leading April McLean Delaney 51.5 to 48.29%. So he's got a 3-point advantage there. And again, the question is, where are the rest of those precincts? Are they more in Western Maryland,
right,
or are they more in the D.C. suburbs, or a mix? Obviously, the greater population base, though, is in the D.C. suburbs, so that would give the advantage there. But in terms of red, blue, Maryland holds on to red in the congressional. They were nonpartisan races in District 3 and 5, the Worcester County Board of Ed. However, there were partisan issues, if you will, that came up. And in fact, in District 5, Elena McComas reiterated, hey, I am a Republican, I am a conservative. Even though it's a nonpartisan race, she had to reiterate that because her opponent was attacking her on some issues there, and in District 3 as well, some issues, and legitimate ones having to do with, CRT, with, gender, boys and girls bathrooms, those kind of things. There were concerns about that, but those were addressed in the debates, and obviously these districts voted the incumbents back, so they feel comfortable with the job that the school board and the county is doing. So.
Mike, do you think that the threat of a Donald Trump coming into Washington with a machete to take apart the deep state had any influence on Maryland voting in the Western Shore?
I don't think it hurt. Sure. I mean, sure it did. And I think that with, at least early on, I think, again, with the thought of a Republican Senate, that motivated Democrats to get out. And despite the popularity as a governor, they ultimately voted party over who may be the best person for the race. I think that played a part in it, yes. And anything they can do to make it tougher on former President Trump, yes. So that we could talk about the Hogan blunders, but also let's not forget it is a blue state. And I think that that certainly was one of the motivations of the voters, especially among the Democrats there. Absolutely.
Well, again, with respect to Larry Hogan, Mike, there were two Larry Hogans, the one that ran for governor in 2014 and won re-election, and the one that ran for Senate. They were two different candidates, totally different, right?
No, that's completely fair, and even surprising that his campaign didn't spend a dime with WGMD, and that was surprising. I guess they felt they had the Eastern Shore, and I think he needed to sew it up more. It wouldn't have been the difference, but I think he needed to sew it up more. But that is what it is. But Jake, tonight, kind of a mixed bag, I guess, as we see it. Ultimately, I guess our attention is now more on the presidential race, and hope there that former President Trump, from our perspective, gets it done.
Well, Mike, if anything, for those of us who are worried about these wind turbines, if Trump wins, a new revitalized Department of Defense will put the kibosh on that immediately, and that's what we need to hope for, Mike.
Jake, that is huge. You could not be more right. That is that election, or that issue, hinges on this election right here, because if Harris wins, it's going to happen.
No question about it. Mike, you did an outstanding job tonight. Thank you for bringing the results and the backstories to what is going on in the old line state. And you continue to amaze me, my friends. After all these years we've worked together.
Well, I appreciate that very much. It's a team effort, and you did a great job on the national scene with big-time guests leading up to tonight. And we'll see ultimately how it plays out. Hopefully, when I go on the air at 5 a.m. tomorrow, we'll know something.
Yeah, well, we're both going to be very tired tomorrow when we go on the air, right?
No doubt about it. And I expect that you be live and local at 6:40, sir.
Yeah, good luck, Mike.
If I have to be on, you have to be on. Well, no, I can understand that. So.
All right, my friend.
All right,
drive safely. And let's get to some of the conversation on Dial tonight. Colonel Williams, Dr. Tiny, says that Delaware has taken a huge step backwards. Can these libs move back to where they came from? Colonel, it goes without saying that votes for Republicans are not even considered. And I would like to tell you, from someone who moved here from Long Island, it's not all libs who are moving to this area. There are a ton of conservatives who have moved to this area. Bob and Lewis said Trump needs a Republican House, or else it will be impeachment city for another 4 years. Well, you know something, Bob? I think it's going to be a Republican House as well, but the Senate's going to be in Republican hands. So guess what? There will be no trials putting Trump on trial for impeachment. So again, Big Cat says, cheer up a little. Trump is going to win, and we will at least take the Senate. I certainly hope that you are correct, Big Cat. But again, my friends, if you are listening in the first state in Delaware, it's another sad night for Delaware Republicans. It's a sad night for democracy in Delaware. It really is. And Republicans have a lot of soul searching to do, and if you're going to keep supporting and backing the same old Republican guard who does everything they can to try to prevent change within the Republican Party at the grassroots level, well, then this is going to continue, my friends. And I hope it doesn't. As a Republican, I want to continue fighting for the Republican values that I hold so well. I know you do. But if Republicans keep losing, it does have an effect on voter turnout for Republicans. What happened tonight here in Delaware has got to have a negative effect. Bob and Lewis says Delaware needs more MAGA Republicans. Well, unfortunately, Bob, the old Republican Guard here are not MAGA. They want nothing to do with MAGA, and they fight Julianne Murray at every opportunity.
All day, every day, with news, talk, and sports. Over 40 years strong. 92.7 WGMD. Rehoboth.